WBBM FM, Chicago.
Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment John Lund as
Johnny Dollar.
Donald Maynard, Johnny.
Oh, hello, Mr. Maynard.
You employed?
No, not a bit. Just closed out a case.
Fine. Can you go to New York?
Yeah, I guess so. What's it all about?
Well, this company insures Morey Productions Incorporated. It's a film television company shooting in New York. The star is Philip Morey.
Uh-huh.
Well, production stopped last Wednesday. We were notified that Morey had suffered a breakdown and couldn't continue for a while. It's costing us plenty. They've got a pretty big company. Cast and crew are all under contract and have to get paid.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Well, anything you can. The doctor definitely confirms the breakdown, but he says he's sure it's due to some personal crisis. See what you can find out. See if you can't do something to snap Morey out of it.
Okay.
Right away, huh?
As soon as I pack a bag.
the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum bring you John Lund in another adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Friends, the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum present these weekly adventures of Johnny Dollar because they know that millions of you enjoy Johnny Dollar. That's true of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, too. It's enjoyed by millions, day in and day out. People find that chewing on a smooth, delicious piece of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum somehow makes time pass more pleasantly. Whether you're working, driving, shopping, or just taking things easy, that good, tasty chewing gives you enjoyment and satisfaction. So always keep a package of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. And whenever you want a refreshing, delicious treat, chew a stick. You'll like it. You really will.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, National Life and Casualty Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Philip Morey Matter. Expense account item 1, $19.85, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City. Item 2, 75 cents, cab fare to a hotel, where I registered and called the offices of the Morey Production Company. I made an appointment to see Mr. Milton Gradke, the producer. Expense account item 3, 55 cents for another cab to Gradke's well-appointed office on 45th Street.
Really, Mr. Dollar, I'm just as concerned about this situation as the insurance company is. In fact, I'm probably a whole lot more concerned. A whole lot. Well, we've got a schedule to meet. We've got a sponsor and a network to account to. And if our star is sick, I
just came down to see if I could help.
It's a breakdown, Mr. Dollar. Who can help with a breakdown? Are you a doctor?
You're a close friend, huh?
Yes, very close. I can't do anything. How could you?
What caused the breakdown?
Such a question. What causes the breakdown? What causes breakdowns? Again, it's for a doctor to say. I'm only a producer.
Well, the company doctor felt it was something of a personal nature. Something more than just overwork.
Well, I know Phil is sick. He's really in a bad shape. And I know if he doesn't snap out of it, this show is going on the rocks. It may be personal, but that's not for me to say. Phil's had enough trouble in the past. Well, this time he could be ruined.
Who's his personal physician?
Ewing, Charles Ewing. The best man for this sort of thing. I got the best.
I'd like to talk to him.
He's probably over with Phil now.
Oh, fine. I'll stop by.
Oh, he won't allow you to see Phil. You can't see him, Mr. Dollar.
Okay, then I'll just talk to the doctor.
Maybe Ewing's back at his office now. Why don't you go over to his office instead, huh? It'll be a whole lot easier if you go over to
Mr. Gradke.
Yes?
What's the matter? Don't you want me to talk with Philip Morey?
He's sick. Very sick.
You sure that's all?
Of course that's all. You got the doctor's report?
Yeah, but if you don't mind, I'll check it myself. Your company may be in trouble, Mr. Gradke, but my company is paying for it. Expense account item 4, $1.25 for still another cab. Philip Morey was residing in an apartment on Park Avenue. I had trouble getting by the doorman, the receptionist at the switchboard, and the elevator operator, but I got by them. I walked down the third floor of the building and knocked on the door to Philip Morey's apartment.
Yes?
Dr. Ewing?
No, he just left.
My name is Dollar. I'd like to see Mr. Morey.
I'm sorry, no one can see Mr. Morey. He's quite ill.
Who are you?
What business is that of yours?
I'm a special agent for National Life and Casualty. I was sent here to make a report on Mr. Morey's condition.
Then I suggest you talk to Dr. Ewing.
Now, wait a minute.
Look, I told you to...
Hey, Richard. What's the beef? What's going on?
Mr. Morey?
Yeah?
Phil, you better go on back in your room.
Why? What do you want, Edward?
My name is Dollar, Mr. Morey.
Okay. What's it all about, huh?
I told him you weren't seeing anyone.
Well,
He's from the insurance company.
I don't want any.
You already have it. I just came down here to see if I could help.
Wait a minute. I don't want any insurance. I'm a lousy risk.
Phil.
No. Go on, fella. Beat it, you hear me? Go on.
Okay. Don't get rough. You're in no condition.
You think so, huh?
Look, Mr. Morey, my company got a report that you'd suffered a breakdown.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
It looks to me more like a 90-proof breakdown, and it smells like it, too.
Well, what's it to you?
Plenty. My company's paying a lot of money while you're laid up. As long as it's a legitimate illness, they're obligated to keep on paying.
And if I'm just drunk?
I doubt if my company would think kindly of you, Mr. Morey.
Well, isn't that just too bad?
Mr. Dollar, he didn't start hitting the bottle until last night.
Just forget the excuses. Just drop it. And you get out of here now, huh? Go on, get out.
Okay.
And tell your stinking company I'm gonna stay drunk until we have another blue snow. Okay?
It's fine with me. I'll send you a sled with a coffin on it. I was supposed to help Morey straighten himself out, but this wasn't just a breakdown. He was boiled to the eyebrows. And if you could go on past performances, it was an odds-on bet he'd stay that way. Expense account item 5. $1.35 cab fare from the Park Avenue apartment to the hotel, where I went to the bar to cool off. I had a fast one and was reaching for another when I was interrupted.
Mr. Dollar?
Oh.
I talked with Milt Gradkin. He told me you were staying here.
Okay.
First, let me apologize for what happened.
Forget it.
Can I sit down?
Sure.
Well, we really didn't meet officially. I'm Richard Long. I'm the writer-director on the series.
Well, if Morey stays loaded, you're going to be out of a job.
He just started drinking last night.
Insurance doesn't cover a lost weekend. I'll have to report it. They'll cancel.
It'll be rough. His wife left him.
Oh, that's the reason, huh?
Yeah, she's going to sue. They've been trying to do everything we could to get Phil in shape.
Well, from the way he looked, you'd better forget it.
Well, if this one blows up, he's through. He's finished for good.
It's happened before.
Yeah. But isn't it too bad?
Yeah, I guess it is.
He's one of the biggest talents we've ever had in this business.
And he's gotten into more trouble.
Look, I'm not defending his mistakes, just his talent.
If you're going to ask me not to make that report to
Look,
my
Mr.
company...
Dollar, I know you've got a job. I know your company can't be expected to keep on paying while Phil's in this condition.
Well, I'm glad you understand.
But they've paid up till now, and believe me, you've got my word. Until last night, Phil Morey hadn't touched a drop.
Well, even if that's true, Morey's drinking now, and he looks like he's good for a long, long time. He's fallen off before, hasn't he?
Yes?
He lost his motion picture contract the last time, didn't he?
Yes, but all that straightened itself out.
It looked pretty crooked this afternoon.
This would never have happened in a million years if it wasn't for that wife.
Well, that's another one of his patterns, isn't it? He's been sued by more ex-wives.
Mr. Zoller, I've never said he was right. I never said any of the trouble was anything else but his own fault. But you don't know him. Not many people do. This guy is the most considerate, charitable...
When he's sober.
Listen, if you've got about 12 hours sometime, I'd like to impress you with some of the good things on the other side of the ledger. He's given Janet everything she could want. Sure, he was wrong. He should have belted her one and told her to keep in line. He's made the same mistake with every woman he's ever been involved with, and they've all taken him. Nearly everyone's taken him. Business managers, agents. You think them up, and they've had their fingers in the pie. For a while, there was a pretty big pie.
Sounds like fodder for a good psychoanalyst.
Yeah, but, well, Janet's leaving him was too much. Even as bad as he was, he didn't hit the bottle. He just kind of folded up, but he stayed on the wagon.
Until last night.
Yeah. Her lawyer called, and Phil got to the phone before I did. He was almost well, didn't care if he ever saw her again. The lawyer said lawsuit, and Phil headed for the bar.
Well, a breakdown is one thing, but a drunk is something else. And he doesn't exactly have the cleanest record in the world. A couple of his binges turned into marathons.
Well, I don't know what to do.
That's why I wanted to see him. I was sent down here to straighten him out if I could.
Get that dame to lay off the lawsuit, and you can.
Well, maybe she thinks she's got a case. The other wives did all right.
Well, that's why he flipped. He just can't afford it. You got any idea how much alimony he's paying right now?
Yeah, I've heard.
And it's more than just the dough. This one's taking him. He's played it straight all the way, gave her everything she wanted, laid off the booze. Really, I know. He tried to make this one work.
And why did she leave him?
She figured it was the right time. He's going good. Still got a lot of money. She's a tramp.
Does he think so?
Well, he does now. I never said anything to him while they were together, and there was a lot I could have said, but, you just don't do those things.
No, it never helps.
After she left him, I finally sat him down and gave it to him straight. He got sore, but he listened, and he started putting things together. She played around all over the place while she was with him, but she did it smart. It's the old story about the husband being the last one to know.
And he took it?
Yeah, and it helped. I really gave it to him, everything I knew.
He must have made quite a study.
Well, she threw a few pitches my way.
Well, if you know all these things, why not let her take it to court? Sounds like you've got enough honor to stop any kind of a suit.
No. I said she played it smart. It's all hearsay. She'd just deny it, and who's going to call her a liar? The guys she was mixed up with?
Maybe.
Not these guys. They were hand-picked.
You said she threw a few pitches your way.
Look, Dollar, Maury's my closest friend. What do you think I'm going to do?
Well, I came down here to see if I could help. But it looks pretty hopeless.
I don't know.
He looked like he was headed for a wet evening. Anyone holding his hand?
Yeah, I left Milt with him. We've been working in shifts.
His wife's name is Janet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where does she live?
55 West 125th Street.
Okay. Why don't you wait for me here?
You going over to see her?
I'm supposed to save my company money, Mr. Long. Maybe Mrs. Morey can suggest something.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. But have you got a better idea?
Good luck.
Friends, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum is a refreshing, delicious treat you can enjoy just about any time. Even when you're busy working, you can slip a stick of Wrigley's Spearmint in your mouth and enjoy that pleasant chewing. The lively, full-bodied spearmint flavor cools your mouth and freshens your taste. The good, smooth chewing helps relieve pent-up tension, gives you satisfaction. As a result, you seem to feel more relaxed and get more enjoyment out of what you're doing. So enjoy chewing Wrigley's Spearmint Gum while you work, and at other times, too. Get a few packages next time you're at the store. That's Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. And now, with our star, John Lund, we bring you the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar.
I left Long in the hotel bar and ran up expense account item 6, $1.45, for one more cab to take me to Mrs. Philip Morey's apartment building. I buzzed for the elevator, and when it arrived, a man stepped out and brushed my shoulder.
Sorry.
I'd seen him before someplace. And while the elevator took me up to the 4th floor, I tried to place him. Oh, I couldn't remember. But for some reason, the man seemed to be important. I got off at the 4th floor, still trying to place the face, and walked down the hall to Mrs. Morey's apartment.
Yes.
Mrs. Morey?
Yes.
My name is Dollar. I'm a special investigator for National Life and Casualty.
Insurance?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, but I...
My company insures your husband's television production.
Oh,
You mind if I come in and talk to you?
no. Come on in. I don't quite understand, Mr.
$1.
Mr. Dollar. Sit down, please.
Oh, thanks.
My husband's production company is insured?
That's right.
Insured for what?
Oh, accidents, illness.
Oh. Well, how'd you find me?
Mr. Long.
I see.
I have to make a complete investigation, Mrs. Morey. You see, when your husband was taken ill,
Taken ill?
well, that's the report that was turned into the company.
Well, I guess you could call it that.
What would you call it?
He's plastered.
You know what that means.
I sure do. I left him. I'm going to get a divorce.
Well, aside from your personal differences, if your husband is just drinking, if that's the reason that production has been held up, my company will cancel his insurance.
So?
He won't be able to get insurance from any other company.
Look, Mr. Dollar, do you know anything about Phil?
Well, just what I've read.
Well, that's been bad, all right, but you've got to live with a guy to really get the full effect. You wouldn't believe it.
Well, I understood he's been a pretty good boy until recently.
Why don't you go talk to my husband?
I saw him earlier today.
How'd you like it?
It was a little tense.
Was he sober?
Not even close.
Well.
But I understand he just started drinking.
Oh, that's dandy. Do you think they're going to tell you that he's been blind for the last month? You can take my word for it. He's no good. I tried. I was number 4, and I certainly tried to do everything I could to make it work.
Well, if it was that bad, I can't blame you. But this will ruin him.
He was ruined the day he was born. Oh, he'll get along. He's still got a lot of money.
After all the alimony he's been paying out?
Mr. Dollar, Phil has made over $6 million since he started in the business. He could still afford a dozen more wives if anyone will have him.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you'll be taken care of.
You bet your life I'll be taken care of. After all I put up with, I deserve to be taken care of. Taken care of good.
Uh-huh. Well...
Oh, you don't have to go. Let me buy you a drink.
Well, sure.
What's your poison?
Anything that's handy. Just water it.
Bourbon?
Fine.
I suppose Richard Long told you what a terrible woman I am.
He mentioned something about it.
Yeah, he would. He's a jealous little fellow. There you are.
Oh, thanks.
Cheers.
Sure.
Richard tried everything he could to break us up. And what a heel. After we'd been married for only a couple of months, Richard started making the old pitch. How do you like that?
Well, I can understand it.
Thanks. But Richard's supposed to be Phil's closest friend.
An attractive woman can fracture a friendship in a hurry, under the right circumstances.
The circumstances were anything but right, Mr. Dollar.
Well, can't blame a man for trying.
Don't you have any scruples?
A couple. But I left them back in the 3rd grade.
Insurance business, huh?
Yeah,
You make a lot of money?
enough. It has other compensations.
Tell me about them.
Well, good drink now and then.
I bet you meet a lot of interesting people.
Oh, lots.
What'd you say your first name was?
I didn't. But it's Johnny.
Johnny Dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Nice expensive sound.
You should get a load of my expense account sometime.
I'd love to.
You know, I saw a picture of you once.
Really?
Yeah. In a bathing suit.
I was a model before I met Phil. I had lots of pictures taken in bathing suits.
I think this was taken just before you married him. It was on the front page, showing you were the girl that was going to be the 4th Mrs. Morey.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That was a rather good one.
Rather.
That book there on the table is just full of pictures taken while I was modeling.
Oh? Oh, this one?
Mm-hmm. Browse around.
Oh, I'd love to.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Oh, and here's one. We made a whole bunch of these on the beach. This is the best one of the lot.
Yeah. Nice tan.
Isn't that one cute?
Yeah.
Mr. Dollar,
How's
your drink?
It just curdled.
Let me build you a fresh one.
Oh, no, thanks. I have to go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You won't be, honey.
I don't think I understand that, Johnny.
I'll tell you all about it sometime. It'll give you a real kick. I left Mrs. Morey looking a little worried. And whether she knew it or not, she had a right to be. In one of the pictures she's shown me, I'd spotted the man I'd bumped into coming out of the elevator. And I remembered who he was. Expense account item 7, $1.45. Cab fare back to the hotel, where I told Richard Long about the man in the picture.
Eugene Sweet.
Ever heard of him?
No.
I couldn't remember until I saw that picture. There was a big case in L.A. He was convicted and sentenced. Did 3 years for forgery. I was in on the case.
Sweet. No, I don't know.
And there was a girl mixed up in it.
Janet?
No. But it was an interesting setup. Sweet introduced the girl to a wealthy old man. The girl married the wealthy old man. Now, it seems the girl would have Sweet sign her husband's name to a check, then she'd fill in the amount and cash it. Not big checks. But after about 4 years, they added up.
Well, a man named Swift introduced Phil to Janet. I never did like him. He used to hang around all the time. Phil got tired of him in a hurry and gave him a bounce.
What did he look like?
Oh, he was tall, kind of greasy around the edges, weighed about, I don't know, about as much as I do.
Where does he live?
I don't know. Only seen him a couple of times since Phil got rid of him. Why, you think Swift might be this Sweet or whatever his name is?
Well, it's a long shot, but you never know.
I guess I could find out. Milt might know.
Would Janet?
Sure. She might. Why don't we ask her?
Yeah. Why don't we just go back to her place and you have a look at that picture book?
I'm with you.
Long's car was parked outside the hotel. We piled in and drove back to Mrs. Morey's apartment building. We parked just in time to see a man enter by the front door.
That's him, Swift. He just went into Janet's building.
And he came out about an hour ago.
You mean Swift's the guy you were talking to?
Eugene Sweet. Arrested in Los Angeles in 1949.
Well, come on.
Well, it might be perfectly innocent.
In a pig's eye. I bet that dame's been working the same kind of setup you told me Sweet worked with the other one. He doesn't do anything. How does he support himself?
Well, if he's with Mrs. Morey, we can always ask him. We went into the lobby and waited for the elevator to come down. Long looked happier than a kid in an acre of new cement, and there was just a chance he had a right to be. The elevator arrived, and so did Milt Gradke, the producer, who came busting into the lobby from the street.
Milt?
Richard, I've been calling you all over the place.
What's the matter?
Phil, he's loose. I couldn't keep him in the apartment.
Oh, no.
I tried, but he got rough. He tried calling Janet, but she hung up on him. Then he went wild.
You think he's here with Janet?
Yes, and that's not the half of it.
Come on, we better get up there. There's no telling what he might do.
You know about it?
What do you mean about Sweet?
Who?
Sweet. I'll tell you later.
I thought you meant the gun.
Gun?
Yes, Phil's got a gun with him.
On the way up, Long explained as much as he could to Gradke, and Gradke continued to apologize for not being able to restrain Morey. We left the elevator on the 4th floor and hurried down to Mrs. Morey's apartment. The door was ajar. Sounds like they're all in there.
Well, what are we going to do?
Well, if he's got a gun...
He sure has.
I'm going in.
Get back! Get back. Get back.
Crazy, do something!
Put down the gun, Morey.
Don't come near me. Get back. I warn you. Don't anybody get near me. I swear I'll shoot.
Phil.
Not even you, Dick, no. You too, Milt. Get back. This Dame thought she was going to take me. Well, she's not going to get away with it.
Phil,
No. I am through. Nothing's left. So I'm going to do it up brown. What do you think of this Dame, Dick? Look who comes to see her.
His real name's Sweet, Eugene Sweet.
Huh? What?
That's right, Morey. He's done time.
Yeah?
Maury, put down the gun. It's a better than even bet that your wife's been pulling a fancy bit of hijacking, Miss Sweet.
Huh?
That's right. Tell him about it, you little tramp.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Look, Phil.
I want the whole thing. How did you take me? Come on.
He introduced you to Janet, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
They had it all settled. She marries you, sticks around for a while, and Sweet, being a good forger, signs your name to some checks. Tell him, Janet.
Yeah.
Phil. Phil, look, you didn't do wrong. You did everything right. For goodness sakes, Phil, nobody's going to blame you now. Only put away that gun.
Put it down, Mr. Maury.
Say back.
Mr. Maury,
Yeah.
these two men have a lot of belief in you. They think you can straighten out in spite of everything that's happened. Now, nobody's going to blame you for anything unless you use that gun. Frankly, what happens to you doesn't make any difference to me.
It doesn't make any difference to anyone.
It does to these two guys. Why don't you start thinking about somebody else for a change? Let's see you prove you're worthy of their friendship.
Stay away.
Give me that gun. Now, come on. You're not whipped. Everybody gets in a slump now and then. Come on. Give me the gun, Mr. Maury. By the time the cops got there, Janet and Sweet had told me the whole story. They admitted cashing forged checks to the tune of $300,000. And that wasn't counting what Maury had given her legally. If I hadn't recognized Eugene Sweet, Janet would probably have won a nice settlement to go along with everything else. Maury had written so many checks he never would have noticed the extra ones. Oh, he was a setup. He spent money hand over fist, and his business manager would never think a dozen small checks a week were forged. Expense account item 8, $54, hotel bill. Item 9, $18.83, train fare and incidentals back to Hartford. Expense account total, $99.38. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Remember, friends, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum is a refreshing, delicious treat you can enjoy just about any time. Chew a few sticks of Wrigley's Spearmint during the day and see how the good chewing helps you keep feeling fresh and alert. The lively, full-bodied flavor of Wrigley's Spearmint cools your mouth, freshens your taste, and sweetens your breath. The chewing itself gives you a nice little boost, helps you keep going at your best. Millions of people get real chewing enjoyment out of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. And we know that you'll enjoy it, too. Get a few packages and always keep some handy. That's Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, stars John Lund in the title role and was written by Blake Edwards with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were Joe Duvall, Sidney Miller, Hy Averback, Bill Johnstone, and Jeanette Nolan. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's story of Johnny Dollar and that you're enjoying delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. This is Charles Lyon, inviting you to join us again next week at this same time when, from Hollywood, John Lund returns as...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Hear Chicago's favorite shows on
WBBM FM, Chicago.
Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment John Lund as...
Johnny Dollar.
Stanley Mitchell, Dollar.
Oh, how are you, Mr. Mitchell?
I'm fine. Are you employed?
No, not since last Tuesday.
Then you can take an assignment.
Fast as you can give it to me.
Go to New York and see a Mr. Alan Saxton. He recently returned from Europe where he purchased a supposedly priceless painting. He's applied to our company for insurance on it.
You said supposedly priceless. Is there a doubt?
Yeah, big one. Several experts have examined the painting, claim it's a forgery. Saxton yelled foul all over the place. He paid $200,000 for the article.
Well, I do a little yelling myself.
A whole group of experts are going to give the painting every test there is, and if it stands up, we're obliged to insure it.
And if it doesn't, I leave before Saxton comes to a boil, huh?
That's about it.
I'll get right on it, Mr. Mitchell.
The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum bring you John Lund in a transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Friends, the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum present these weekly adventures of Johnny Dollar because they know that millions of you enjoy Johnny Dollar. That's true of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, too. It's enjoyed by millions, day in and day out. People find that chewing on a smooth, delicious piece of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum somehow makes time pass more pleasantly. Whether you're working, driving, shopping, or just taking things easy, that good, tasty chewing gives you enjoyment and satisfaction. So always keep a package of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. And whenever you want a refreshing, delicious treat, chew a stick. You'll like it. You really will.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Great Eastern Life Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Alan Saxton matter. Expense account item 1, $21.65, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City. I arrived at Grand Central late in the afternoon and went directly to a hotel where I registered and made arrangements to rent a car. Saxton resided in a quaint three-story house on an estate across the river in Jersey that looked impressive enough to be an annex to Fort Knox. An old cad butler met me at the door and led the way into a mahogany and leather study, where I was left to wait for the master of the house.
Mr. Dollar?
That's right.
Glad to know you. Mitchell of your company called, said you'd be down.
Yes, sir?
Well, sit down, sit down. A cigar?
No, thanks.
Aren't you a little premature?
How do you mean?
Well, there'll be no positive confirmation in my painting till after it's been examined, you know.
When will the examination take place?
Nasty cough.
Yeah, nasty.
Well, I'm to turn the painting over to Mr. Farmer from the museum tomorrow morning. I imagine he'll have it for a day or so.
I understand you paid $200,000.
I sure did. 200,000 fat American dollars, Mr. Dollar. Have you any idea how long it takes to make $200,000, Mr. Dollar?
Well, that kind of depends on who's making it. Me, I start getting senile around $1.98.
Oh, Lord. If I keep hacking like this, I'll end up doing business in an oxygen tent. You like to see the painting, Mr. Dollar?
Sure.
Come on. Mr. Dollar, if I've been swindled, I'm going to cause more trouble than a hungry snake in a rabbit pen.
Who'd you buy the painting from?
One of the biggest, most respectable dealers in Paris is all. You ever been to Paris, Mr. Dollar?
Yeah.
In here. Hey, how about that Paris, eh?
Oh, I rather enjoyed myself.
I rather did, too. Yeah, I've been there a dozen times now, and I never get tired of anything. Not anything, Mr. Dollar. The last trip, I met...
You're a terrible old man.
Huh? Oh, Barbara. I didn't see you.
Obviously. Hello.
Hello.
This is my impish daughter, only child, spoiled rotten.
Barbara.
Johnny Dollar.
Just going to show Mr. Dollar the painting. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't really like it, do you, Mr. Dollar?
Well, I really don't know much about it, Miss Saxton.
Barbara.
You don't care for it, Mr. Dollar?
Well, I guess it's very good.
Good. Dollar, that's an original Marshall. Marshall! Oh.
They're beginning to call Dad the hacking sack.
Yeah, hacking sack. Nasty little brat, isn't she?
Who told you the painting was a forgery, Mr. Saxton?
A miserable little man named Lippert fancies himself an authority. Just jealous of what he is. Give his right clavicle for that painting. Ran around telling everyone how old Saxton got taken for $200 grand. Miserable little cuss.
You going to be in town long, Mr. Dollar?
Oh, stop rolling your eyes.
That's about as crude
And
as...
that eye rolling went out with high button shoes.
Who did you say sold you the painting?
You look out for her, Dollar. Get that tone? Are you going to be in town long, Mr. Dollar?
I want to know.
The painting?
Yeah, I bought it from Rene Francois, most reputable dealer in Paris. He's only going to be in town till after they establish my painting's a forgery. Isn't that right, Dollar?
Who? Rene Francois?
You. I'm doing my best to save you from this designing female. Now agree with me.
Yeah, I'm only going to be in town
Then you
until
can
after...
stay for dinner.
He cannot.
Why not, Mr. Dollar?
Because we haven't got enough food.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Now, you go on back to wherever you're staying, Mr. Dollar, and I'll get in touch the minute they finish with the painting. Now, take my word for it, Dollar. Quit while you're ahead. Stick around for dinner, and you end up a cripple.
Oh. Well, are you going to stay for dinner or not, Mr. Dollar?
He is not. Seems like a nice fella, but he never played polo in his life. How about it, Dollar?
No, just an occasional game of stickball.
What position?
Oh, mostly gutter.
Wonderful. I was a gutter man myself. You're raised in Hell's Kitchen, you know.
Mr. Dollar, please stay for dinner.
No.
You can talk over old times. Bring back the good old days when you were out cracking skulls.
You were going to leave.
I am.
Show Mr. Dollar Saxon's word is as good as his bond.
Her bond. I'm a her. She.
Yeah, her. Sometimes I wonder. Come on, Dollar. I'll walk you to the door.
You don't have to drag him. Mr. Dollar.
Goodbye, Miss Saxton.
Please.
No! Look out! Getting better, but you're putting too much of a curve on it.
I hate you.
Come on, Dollar. You're quite a girl, huh?
Yeah.
There's nothing really wrong. Just spoiled. Got too much money. I'd ask you to stay, but you really seem like too nice a fella.
Well,
Well, what?
Just well. At the moment, that's about as glib as I can get. I left the Saxton house, shook my head a few times to get my brain turned around, and drove back to New York in my hotel. There wasn't much for me to do until the experts examined the painting. So I showered, shaved, got dressed in my other suit, and called a few numbers I'd collected during several investigations to see if I could get what looked to be a dull evening back on its feet. I struck out 3 times and was dialing the 4th when... Yeah? Come on in.
Hello? May I come in?
Well, yeah, sure.
I hope I didn't interrupt an important call.
No. Sit down.
Thanks.
Where's Daddy?
Home. He wouldn't tell me where you were staying, so I found out who he was insured with. I had to call his lawyer. Then I called your insurance company.
Oh, I'm flattered.
I'm determined.
Daddy's liable to spank.
I don't think so. He's really not the general he tries to be. He blusters and lays down the law, and we butt heads.
And you get what you want.
If it's important enough.
Well, I'm sorry I spoiled your record.
You haven't.
Well, then my staying for dinner wasn't important.
Oh, yes. Very important.
Well, then you lose.
Mm-hmm. If you can't fight 'em, join 'em.
Well, that's a practical bit of philosophy, but I don't see quite how it applies.
I've had no dinner.
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't accept my home-cooked invitation, so now it's going to cost you.
My expense account just turned yellow.
Where would you like to take me to dinner?
Where would you like me to take you to dinner, Shy Violet?
Maybe I'm not the most conventional type in the world.
I'll go along with that.
But I don't want to argue. Don't want to have to coerce you. Don't want you to do anything you don't really want to do.
You just want me to take you to dinner?
It's a nice way to start off an evening.
Yeah.
And you'll take me to dinner? Johnny?
Expense account item 2, $22.78 dinner at a small Italian restaurant. I'm pretty sure the dinner was excellent, but I'm positive that Barbara Saxton was more woman than I'd run into in a long time. Delilah was a Girl Scout by comparison. We got back to the Saxton home in Jersey about 3 in the morning, parked the car at the front door, and said goodnight.
I had a wonderful evening. Will you call me tomorrow?
Right after my 2 o'clock shock treatment.
Weren't you happy?
Well, I'm not quite sure.
I think we had a little too much to drink.
Who had a little too much to drink?
Okay. I had a little too much to drink.
You're fractured.
I love you, Johnny. Let's get married.
Come on, dear love.
Oh, I don't want to go in yet. I want to get married. Johnny, let's drive to someplace where we can get married.
No, I'm once more a clear-thinking, cautious bachelor.
I can fix that.
Now, while I'm conscious.
Want to bet?
Oh, come on. Be a good little girl. Get out of that car and let me walk you to the door, or I'll scream for help.
You're mean.
The word is coward.
Yes.
Now, come on, dear.
No. All right. You're right. You're a coward.
But a single one. Now, come on.
Kiss me goodnight first.
Barbara.
Kiss me goodnight or I won't budge.
I'll kiss you goodnight at the front door.
What's the deal?
Where's your key?
First.
Now, honey.
You promised. The front door. This is it. Go, front door.
Okay. Good night, honey.
Let's get married.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Now.
Shh. Now. Honey, the door was open.
I don't want to go in. I'm not going to go
Barbara,
in.
look.
No. I'm going to sit right down here.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, that's nice. Carry me, Johnny. Carry me to a minister and let's get married till death do us part.
There. You're on your own. Good night.
Johnny, you come back here. You can't leave me just standing here like this.
Drink a big glass of milk and get some sleep.
Johnny.
Good night. What the...
Johnny! Oh, Johnny!
What is it? What's wrong?
In the library, Dad!
What?
He's lying there. Hurt his head. It's all bloody.
Friends, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum is a refreshing, delicious treat you can enjoy just about any time. Even when you're busy working, you can slip a stick of Wrigley's Spearmint in your mouth and enjoy that pleasant chewing. The lively, full-bodied spearmint flavor cools your mouth and freshens your taste. The good, smooth chewing helps relieve pent-up tension, gives you satisfaction. As a result, you seem to feel more relaxed and get more enjoyment out of what you're doing. So enjoy chewing Wrigley's Spearmint Gum while you work and at other times, too. Get a few packages next time you're at the store. That's Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. And now, with our star, John Lund, we bring you the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar.
Barbara Saxton was hysterical. I had to slap her to calm her down. Then together we went into the darkened Saxton house, where I found her father, Alan Saxton, lying on the floor, bleeding from a nasty scalp wound.
Johnny?
He's all right. Call a doctor. Look, come on, come on. Mr. Saxton.
You can't stop him.
Don't try to sit up.
What? The picture.
You all right?
What happened? Oh, Dollar.
Now, you better stay right there till we get a doctor.
Just sit up. Oh, my head.
Oh, it doesn't look too bad. There's a lot of blood.
My painting.
Now, just take it easy.
He got it. Look, it's gone.
Okay, but don't try to get up. It might be a concussion.
No, he stole my painting. Cut it right out of the frame.
Who did?
I don't know. A man. I heard something and came down. Servant's night off. Shouldn't have been anyone down here.
What'd he hit you with?
A flashlight, I think.
Doctor, I'll be right over. Dad?
Traitor.
I thought you were dead.
I couldn't be. I'd feel better. You deserted me. Oh, for Pete's sake, stop that. I'm the one who got clobbered.
You nearly scared me half to death.
Well, I couldn't help it.
What happened?
Some dirty lowlife swiped my painting.
No.
Oh, look.
The marshal.
Yeah, caught him in the act. Would have captured him, too, but he crowned me with his flashlight.
Better get some hot water and a towel.
But they have to take 50 stitches.
It's just a little cut.
It is not. It's good for at least 50 stitches.
Dear love.
Yes, dear love?
Get the hot water and a towel while I go call the robbery detail.
Yes, John.
Wait. Yes, dear love. Yes, Johnny.
He took me to dinner.
Well, it's 3:30 in the morning.
3:35.
What day?
Tuesday.
What time did you finish dinner?
Look, while you're getting your suspicions up, the thief is putting a lot of miles between this house and
Dollar, answer me one question. She didn't get you drunk and get you to marry her.
I sure tried.
But you didn't.
No.
Yeah, you're a lucky boy, Johnny.
Oh, don't look so smug. You just think everyone wants to marry me for my money.
Well, don't they?
Not Johnny.
I'm going to call the police.
Wait. Just one more question. If you married my daughter, would it be for her money?
In the first place, I'm not going to marry your daughter.
Johnny.
In the second place, if I did, it wouldn't be for her money.
See?
If I was going to marry her at all, it would be for your money.
Johnny!
Barbara got a towel and some hot water, and I called the police. I stuck around while old Saxton gave his heroic side of the incident. Then I took off and drove back to the hotel, where I put in a call to the Paris branch of the company. I talked with Howard Gilbert and asked him to check on the departure of Rennie Francois, who, according to Saxton, wasn't expected to arrive in the States until late that afternoon. There had to be a good reason why anyone would steal a painting that had been publicized as a possible fake. Saxton wouldn't have the painting stolen, because without insurance, he'd just be out the $200,000 he'd paid for it. Rennie Francois might have a reason, though. Because if the painting was proved a forgery, his reputation would suffer, not to mention having to return the $200,000 to Saxton. Well, Gilbert promised to wire the information regarding Francois' departure the minute he had it, and I left the hotel and headed across town to see an old friend, a continental stool pigeon with a way of knowing about such things as stolen $200,000 paintings. It was close to 5 o'clock when I rang his doorbell.
Whoever it is, you're just being ridiculous. Allez-y-vous.
Henri, open up.
Not by the hair of my little goatee. If I owe you money, come back at a respectable hour.
It's Johnny Dollar.
I don't believe it. Only my landlord or a vampire would go to such extremes.
Look, Henri, I'm going to slip a little something under the door.
Another 10 might convince me.
Okay, but you'll never go to heaven.
I'm convinced. Mon ami, entrez. I miss you, Johnny.
Are you that broke?
Well, until this windfall, I was completely fractured. But, what can I do for you?
Some information.
Bien. Is this so important that you must seek me out before the sun has risen?
You ever heard of a Mr. Alan Saxton?
Saxton?
He's been in the papers. Well, a few hours ago, someone hit him over the head and swiped a very expensive painting.
Oh, is that the Saxton who recently purchased the supposed Marshall?
That's the one.
Well, there was some doubt as to the authenticity of the painting.
Experts were going to examine it today. He paid $200,000 for it.
Marshall? I would have painted him something far superior for much less.
Who do you think would pull a job like that?
Well, what is so special about a job like that? Break into a house, steal a painting? An amateur could handle it.
No. It's a special job for a special talent. The thief knew his Marshall. There were a lot of other paintings in that room.
Well, but he could read, couldn't he? Marshall certainly signed the work. Or if it's a forgery, whoever painted it certainly signed Marshall's name.
This painting wasn't signed. That's one of the reasons why there's some doubt about it. Not only that, but why would someone take that painting when it's worthless until proven authentic?
You have a point.
I'm thinking of a European.
Oh, Johnny, I wouldn't touch a job like this.
Someone with an international reputation.
Please, Johnny, I am innocent. Mon ami, please believe me.
Someone who could possibly be hired in Paris, or, if he happened to be in the United States, could be contacted. Someone that would know this particular Marchot and be qualified to break into the Saxton house. Henri?
Well.
You have that knowing look.
Well, I was just thinking about my landlord. Sooner or later, he'll trap me. It's the law of average. So far, I've cleverly avoided this ingenious...
How much?
Pardon?
How much do you owe him?
Oh, a paltry 2 months' rent, $40.
Okay.
Yeah, but what sense is there in paying when it will only provide me with a legal claim to this disgusting dwelling? And I have no sustenance to keep me alive for longer than a week.
Well, then just pay him for a week.
You would have me starve?
How much will keep you alive for 2 months?
Well, I would at least like to take care of Greenbaum's delicatessen.
$10?
Well, the exact amount is 15.
Oh, you're lucky I've got an expense account.
You think I don't know it?
All right, who is he?
Well, you might go to the Shelton Arms and inquire about a man named Gaston Chambray. It has been rumored that he arrived from Paris only yesterday.
Who is he?
Well, that is for you to discover. There are certain things I am bound by honor not to divulge. But any policeman in the world could help you out.
I left the little Frenchman and went back to my hotel, where a cable was waiting from Gilbert at the Paris office. It told me that René Francois had booked passage on Air France and was due to arrive late in the afternoon. I left, climbed into the rented car, and drove to the Shelton Arms on East 108th Street, where a sleepy night clerk gave me Gaston Chambray's room number and accepted a $10 bribe not to inform Chambray that I was on my way up.
Who is it?
A cable for you, Mr. Chambray.
Oh.
It's from René Francois.
How do you know that?
I peeked.
You are not a messenger boy?
Sure I am. I've got a message from René Francois.
Well, give it to me.
He says to give me the painting. Oh. I'm coming in.
You have no right to come in.
You got something to hide?
Get out of here before I call the police.
Oh, no, I'll just stick around. But if you want to call the police, why don't you go right ahead? Maybe you'd like to tell them where you were earlier this morning.
I was right here in my room. I have been in my room since early last night.
You didn't take a short trip over to Jersey?
I certainly did not.
You arrived from Paris yesterday, huh?
Yes, but what has... Oh, police. You are a policeman.
I'm surprised you didn't decide that when I pushed my way in here.
I have done nothing.
But you know a René Francois.
Yes, but I know nothing about a painting.
Now, look, I know all about you.
Of course, but you can't prove anything.
You want me to tear this apartment to pieces, or do you want to hand over the Marchot?
I told you I have no painting.
I just said Marchot. That could be something you shampoo your hair with.
You mentioned a painting, then Marchot. Any fool would know they are one and the same. As for your tearing my apartment to pieces, as you so crudely put it, I think you would be making a serious mistake.
Really?
You have no warrant.
Well, now you're making a serious mistake.
Really?
I don't need one. You're still going under the assumption that I'm a policeman.
You are not?
No, not a bit. All right, get up. Now, where's the painting?
Who sent you?
I sent myself. Now, where's the painting? Okay.
No. Wait a minute. It's under the pillows on the couch.
Uh-huh. Why did you steal it? Maybe you didn't understand me.
No. All right. I was hired.
Sure you were. René Francois?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as long as you're so suspicious about policemen, put on your clothes. I'll take you downtown, introduce you to a few of the gentlemen in blue. Gaston Chambray gave a complete confession to the police. He'd been hired by the Paris art dealer, René Francois, to steal the painting had been discovered by Alan Saxton, and in order to make his escape was forced to clout the old boy on the skull with his flashlight. Rene Francois was met at the plane, and when confronted with the evidence, readily confessed. He explained that when the Marchot was proclaimed a possible forgery, he realized that if it really was, his business would be ruined, and he would have to return the $200,000 to Saxton. He checked with the sources that had originally sold him the painting and discovered that there was a strong possibility that the painting was a fake. He offered Chambray $10,000 to do the job. He'd arrive in the States after the robbery, offer his condolences, meet Chambray at a predetermined spot, and take the painting. Well, Saxton took it in stride, and after Francois gave him back the money, he even laughed about it.
You really did a fine job, Dollar. I'd like to make it worth your while.
Well, it'll just cost you the $85 I paid out in bribes. The rest goes on the expense account.
Johnny.
Oh, you look pretty bad.
Terrible hangover.
Johnny, don't be mean. You're responsible for this.
You got my $200,000 for me. It was that Francois. He was behind the whole thing. Some guy named
Daddy.
Jim. Well, don't you want to hear about it?
Johnny, will you take care of me? I need somebody to take care of me.
Oh, dear love, I'd love to.
Really?
But I've got to get back to Hartford.
I can be packed in an hour.
Oh, there you go with that eye rolling again.
I'm not rolling them. They're rolling themselves. I have absolutely no control whatsoever, Johnny. Dear love.
Yes, dear love.
Can I go with you?
No.
Why not?
Well, I'm an insurance man.
What's the matter with that?
Oh, nothing. Only I know a bad risk when I see one.
Johnny, I'm not a bad risk.
No, but I am.
Better. Here, have a cigar.
Expense account item 3, $55.85, hotel bill and car rental. Item 4, $19.65, train fare and incidentals back to Hartford. Expense account total, $119.93. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Remember, friends, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum is a refreshing, delicious treat you can enjoy just about any time. Chew a few sticks of Wrigley's Spearmint during the day and see how the good chewing helps you keep feeling fresh and alert. The lively, full-bodied flavor of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum cools your mouth, freshens your taste, and sweetens your breath. The chewing itself gives you a nice little boost, helps you keep going at your best. Millions of people get real chewing enjoyment out of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum every day, and we know you'll enjoy it, too. Get a few packages and always keep some handy. That's Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, stars John Lund in the title role and was written by Blake Edwards with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were Edgar Barrier, Hal March, Virginia Gregg, and Jay Novello. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, was transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's story of Johnny Dollar and that you're enjoying delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. This is Charles Lyon, inviting you to join us again next week at the same time when from Hollywood, John Lund returns as...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
For your listening enjoyment, John Lund as Johnny Dollar.
Roger Stern, Dollar.
Oh, hello, Mr. Stern.
Got a job for you.
Fine.
Our company insures a Mr. Barney Rico.
Oh, I know that name. Used to be pretty big in the rackets, wasn't he?
Yeah, for the past 7 years, he's been Mr. 8 number 1 citizen. Our company insured his life for $100,000. He was killed yesterday.
How?
He was murdered. See Lieutenant Briggs at the 7th Precinct. He'll give you the details.
Right. Briggs is an old friend.
When can you leave?
As soon as I pack a bag.
mind if I break in a few seconds to discuss games with you? How many of you, when you were youngsters, ever tried to escape from the world of reality by playing cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers? Today's youngsters have added two more professions to the world of make-believe: spacemen and G-men. And speaking of G-men, do you know where that name came from? Actually, it was used about 20 years ago by gangsters to describe members of our Federal Bureau of Investigation as part of the Department of Justice, and acts as a kind of detective agency whose duty it is to track down those who break our federal laws. The FBI also does counterintelligence work in ferreting out spies and saboteurs. And here's an amazing fact about our FBI men. Despite the extreme dangers of their work, it wasn't until some 20 years ago that they were given the authority to carry guns. With no other weapon than courage, resourcefulness, and determination, they had to track down and apprehend dangerous racketeers and spies. Today, however, you will find that the typical FBI agent may be a lawyer, accountant, or specialist in some other profession, but thoroughly trained in scientific police methods and handy with any type of weapon.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Intercontinental Bonding and Indemnity, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Gino Gambona matter. Expense account item 1, $24.98, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City. I arrived at Grand Central, went directly to the hotel where I registered and called Lieutenant Arthur Briggs. I caught him on his way to lunch. He agreed to meet me in a small restaurant across from the precinct.
Well, good to see you again, Johnny.
Oh, good to see you, Art. It's been a long time.
Investigating the Rico killing, huh?
Yeah. Why don't we order, and then you can tell me about it.
Well, I know what I want. This is corned beef day. Good corned beef, real lean.
Oh, that sounds fine.
Nancy?
I'll be right there, Art.
How much is Rico insured for?
$100,000. The brother's the beneficiary.
Uh-huh.
Any idea who killed him?
No, not yet. It's always tough when a guy's been in the racket, even if he's gone straight for a while.
He used to be with the Gambona outfit, wasn't he?
Yeah, you know how that
Hi, Art.
might... Well, hello, beautiful.
Corned beef?
Yeah, two.
Coffee?
Yeah, Johnny?
Yeah, coffee.
2 beef, 2 coffee, salad or soup.
Just the corned beef for me.
Yeah, I don't want the sound of the soup. But, sir, you putting on weight?
You kidding?
No, you're getting a little...
I'm on a diet. Are you kidding?
Well, just ask. I don't mind.
Gee, that's going to make all the difference in the world.
I still love
All a big fat me? Gee.
She's cute.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, getting back to Rico. As I was saying, I'm sure you know it. Any time a guy like Rico gets killed, it's tough to come up with the answer. Could be any one of a dozen guys he was in the racket with. You remember him at all?
Yeah, he was the one who testified against Gambona.
That's right. His testimony sent Gambona back to Sicily. Could have been any one of Gambona's mob. It's just been waiting for the chance. I don't know whether you remember or not, but at the trial, Gambona made it plenty clear that he'd get Rico sooner or later.
What's happened to Gambona?
He's still in Sicily.
Rico did pretty well for himself after he went straight.
Yeah, he did fine. Opened a string of barber shops, built himself a nice home.
The brother's name is Dave.
Yeah, he manages the shop.
What did he have to say?
Well, he's scared stiff. He didn't have anything to do with sending Gambona to Sicily, but he was in the outfit and pulled out when his brother did. He's in a panic.
He hasn't got any idea who killed Barney?
Well, if he does, he isn't saying, and I can't say I blame him.
Well, after lunch, I think I'll have a talk with Dave.
He's probably at the main shop or at home.
Here you are.
Well, thanks, beautiful.
Lean enough for you?
Looks great.
Well, I'm glad something around here hasn't got too much fat on it.
Expense account item 2, $3.55, lunch for Lieutenant Briggs and myself, after which Briggs gave me Dave Rico's home and business address, and I left. Expense account item 3, $1.45, cab fare to Dave Rico's home, where I talked with his wife. She informed me that her husband hadn't returned from work yet and suggested I go to the main barber shop of the Rico chain. Expense account item 4,
$1.65 more cab fare from the Rico house to the barber shop on East 118th Street. It was after 6 when I arrived, and the shop was closed. The interior was dark, except for a light coming from a back room. I knocked on the door and waited. I was about to leave when I saw the figure of a man stagger into the darkened shop from the lighted back room. He stood for a moment framed in the doorway, one hand clutching his stomach. I banged on the door again and watched as the man pushed himself away from the door jamb and started across the shop. Halfway to the front door, he slumped to the floor and lay still. I stepped back, kicked the glass out near the door lock, reached in and opened the door. But by the time I got to the man's side, he was dying in a hurry.
Call doctor, please.
Yeah, sure. Who did it?
No. Gambona.
He died looking up at the ceiling and holding his stomach where a knife had cut him almost in two. It was Dave Rico, and he named Gambona as his killer. I called Lieutenant Briggs.
Gambona?
That's what he said. I asked him who did it, and he said Gambona.
Well, that's crazy.
Why?
Gino Gambona's in Sicily.
You sure?
Well, sure, I'm sure.
What goes on?
Must be a good little boy. I'll get over there and sit down.
Okay. Hey, I know you.
Good.
You're Marty Fleet, one of Castro's happy little triggermen.
Hooray for you. Sit down. Now let's have it.
Have what?
Don't play games, huh? A little while ago, you had a visitor.
I did?
Yeah, and he left something with you. Let's have it.
Have what?
You're going to make me go to all the trouble of tearing this joint apart.
Not if it's going to make you grouchy.
If I spend a lot of time looking for it, what are you going to be doing?
You want me to help you?
No, I do better by myself. You going to tell me where it is?
If I knew what you were talking about, I'd be...
Okay, so I waste my time and tear the joint apart.
Shall I turn my back?
No, you just take a nap.
I finally got my eyes open and found myself alone in the middle of a pile of furniture. The gorilla had departed, and to my amazement, I discovered that he hadn't found the envelope. I called Howard Arnold.
Hello?
Is Mr. Arnold there?
Who's calling?
Johnny Dollar.
Just a moment. For you, dear, Mr. Dollar.
Hello, Dollar?
Well, I think so, but I wouldn't swear to it until I find my head.
What's wrong?
One of Castro's boys paid me a visit.
Did he know I'd been there?
Obviously, he wanted the envelope.
You didn't give it to him.
He was persistent in a physical sort of way, but I still have the ugly little thing.
That's bad.
You're darn right it is. He'll tell Castro he couldn't find it.
If Castro even thinks you've got it.
Well, let's relieve his mind. You take it back.
Well, certainly is no good you're keeping it if Castro suspects you still might have it. Look, you meet me.
Where?
Well, certainly not at my house. Castro's probably having me watched. He won't do anything until he knows he can get his hands on that envelope.
Well, any place you say, but if you think you're being watched...
I'll be careful to lose anyone who might be following. I know a spot. It's about 2 miles off the main highway to Connecticut.
Well, why all the way out there? Can't we just meet in a gas station or something?
No. When you turn over that envelope, I want to be in the safest place possible.
But that's a long way. It just doesn't make...
Please, Mr. Dollar, this is the way I'd like it. I know what I'm doing. It's deserted, away from everything, and the last place Castro would think of.
Okay, if that's the way you want it. I rented a car and drove for a good 40 minutes till I spotted the turnoff. I swung right, hit a stretch of dirt road, drove 2 miles, and then my light picked up Arnold's car. I pulled up in front of him.
Took your time. I've been waiting 20 minutes.
I had to come a little farther than you did.
Well, let's have the envelope. This place gives me the creeps.
Yeah, sure. Here.
Both of you hold it right there.
What?
Oh, no.
Don't move a muscle.
Dollar, do something.
Who's got muscles? Hello, Fleet. Aren't you a long way from home?
How's your head?
Fleet, wait a minute.
Oh, shut up. Hey, Castro's been worried about that envelope. Had it all the time, huh, Dollar?
Cross my heart and hope to... No, I take that back.
Can't we make a deal?
No, not now.
Please, Fleet, I'll give you 5,000.
No.
10.
Sorry.
15.
You got 15,000?
No, but he has.
Yeah, 15. I'll make it 15.
Can't see it.
Then what do you want?
Well, first, I want to make Mr. Dollar sorry for lying the way he did.
Look.
Turn around.
Now, wait a minute.
I said turn around. Go on.
The law knows about your Fleet. If they find me dead, it won't...
You gonna turn around?
Okay. Now what?
I said I was gonna make you sorry for lying.
Well, there it was again. That disgustingly familiar deep black hole. The hole works. I don't know how long I was out this time, but when I slowly pulled myself back, I thought at first that part of the dream had stayed with me. I got to my feet and made my way to the edge of the road. The whole sky seemed to burn with a brilliant yellow light. I looked down in the ravine, and there was Arnold's car, resting on its side where it had rolled, the flames roaring up around it, the charred arm of a man hanging out of the window.
Friends, this coming Friday or Saturday evening, you'll probably have a lot of youngsters ringing your doorbell and calling out tricks or treats. Well, here's a suggestion that'll make a real hit with those youngsters and give you a lot of Halloween fun, too. Make your treat Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Kids love chewing gum, and they really appreciate it when you give them sticks or packages of Wrigley's Spearmint. It's a wholesome, healthful treat, too, and it's inexpensive. You can treat a whole army of little goblins and spooks without running up a big cost or going to a lot of trouble. So, when you go to the store, get some packages or a box of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. You'll agree it's a perfect treat for Halloween. And now, with our star, John Lund, we bring you the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar.
I made it back to the road and flagged a car that drove me to a phone. I called the police and the fire department. 40 minutes later, the fire department arrived, and the wagon hauled what was left of Arnold down to the morgue. I explained what had happened to a Lieutenant David of homicide, and we drove back to the station where I made a statement.
I'm having Castro picked up now. Got a call out on Marty Fleet, too.
I still can't figure how Fleet got out on that road, Lieutenant.
He followed Arnold.
No, he couldn't have. Fleet worked me over and took my room apart, and when I woke up, he was gone. All in all, I was out for about 10 minutes.
Yeah?
Arnold lives a good 30 minutes from my hotel. When I arrived, Arnold said he'd been waiting 20 minutes.
Uh-huh. It would be impossible for Fleet to tail Arnold, then.
Unless he had wings.
Ever think he might have waited around, tailed you?
No, he was already there when I arrived. Maybe somebody could have told him.
Well, who?
How do I know? Maybe Arnold told his wife, and she said something.
She's down in the morgue now, making an identification on the body. Yeah?
We've got George Castro downstairs.
Well, hold him. You got Castro downstairs.
Yeah, I heard. I want to talk to him.
Lieutenant?
Yeah.
Mr. Arnold's outside.
She identify him?
Yeah. Said the body was Arnold, all right. Pretty hard to tell, but the ring and the watch clinched it. She's feeling pretty bad.
I'll bring her in.
Yes, sir.
Now, come in, Mrs. Arnold. This is Mr. Dollar.
How do you do?
Hello.
Sit down, please.
Thank you.
Now, I'll try to make this as brief as possible.
I'd appreciate it.
I understand you identified the body.
Yes, it was Howard.
You could tell.
I'm certain. That was the watch and the ring. They belonged to Howard.
Did you know your husband was going to meet Mr. Dollar before he was killed?
No. He didn't say where he was going.
He'd been acting very strangely for the past few weeks.
Did he tell you he'd been to see me earlier today?
No, I didn't even know he knew you.
Well, do you know why anyone would want to kill him?
Lieutenant, you know who my husband was, what he did, the people he represented. See them.
All right, Mrs. Arnold. I'll have someone take you home.
Thank you, but I have my own car.
Well, if you don't feel well...
I'm all right. Nice meeting you, Mr. Dull.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, she's taking it pretty good.
Uh-huh.
You wanted to talk to George Castro.
Yeah.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Send in George Castro.
Right.
I think we'll be able to hold Mr. Castro for a while this time.
One thing really bothers me.
What?
Why didn't Fleet kill me? Just knock me out. Kill Arnold, run him off a cliff. Something really out of place in this one.
Here's Castro, Lieutenant.
Well, how are you, Lieutenant?
Sit down, Castro.
Are you going to introduce me?
If it's important to you, the name is Dollar.
Okay. Now, what's this all about?
Howard Arnold was killed a couple of hours ago.
You don't say.
Shot. Piled in his car and run off a cliff. Caused quite a fire.
Oh, such a shame. Well, don't look at me.
It's all right, Castro. We've got strong stomachs.
This one of your cops, David?
No, but I agree with him.
That's too bad, because I don't like him. So, I guess I don't like you either.
I'm getting all choked up.
That might be arranged, too.
Listen, Castro, you keep your mouth shut until I ask you a question. You may throw a lot of weight around this town, but you're on a diet when you're in this office. Now, one of your boys killed Arnold.
I doubt that.
Marty Fleet, and I'll swear to it in court.
Fleet, huh? No. Who pushed your face around, funny man?
Fleet, on your orders.
I don't even know you.
You sent Fleet to find something that Arnold had given to me. Something that could put you away for 100 years.
Really? You want to know something? I don't think Arnold had anything like that.
Fleet said you sent him.
That's pretty weak, funny man.
Let's see how weak it is when I testify.
Look, boys, you're not playing with no punk kid.
Now, you look. Your boy Fleet came into my office, drew a gun on me, worked me over because he said you sent him. Howard Arnold told me he was afraid you were going to have him killed. Tonight I met Arnold, and Fleet showed up with his gun again. He put me to sleep, and when I...
Yeah, go on.
What is it?
Huh? I just thought of something. Castro, you say you had nothing to do with it.
That's what I said.
Then tell me where I can find Fleet.
Oh, don't get me started laughing. I'm too tired.
Okay, then hang.
This guy's got a sense of humor, Lieutenant. You should have him on the force with the rest of you funny cops.
I don't think it's so funny, Castro. He's just telling you the truth. I'm going to hold you this time. There's not going to be any writ.
Huh? You making any book on that?
I'm even giving odds.
I got more than one lawyer.
Yeah, and both of them have already seen Judge Phillips. You're not going to get a writ from anyone. The pressure's on. Fleet's your boy, and everybody knows it. The DA's got an election coming up, and the papers have been yelling for your scalp.
Oh, stop it.
Even if your lawyers show up with a writ, you're not going to be here. I'll move you to every jail in this district, and I'll keep moving you. I'm going to nail you to the wall until you're convicted.
Go ahead. I had nothing to do with this.
Then tell us where we can find Fleet.
Go on, Castro. If you had nothing to do with it, tell us.
Okay. Maybe you can find him over on 64th Street. Huh? The Alton Arms.
I'll check it.
Can I go now?
Not till I check it.
While you're doing that, I want to go over and talk to Mrs. Arnold. What do you got? Just a hunch.
Yes? Oh,
I'd like to talk to you, if I may, Mrs. Arnold.
I really don't feel much like discussing anything, Mr. Dollar.
This is pretty important.
All right. Come in.
Sorry I had to disturb you.
So am I. But if it's important...
Well, you want to get your husband's killer, don't you?
Certainly. We can go in here. You know, this happened so suddenly, it's hard to really believe it. Now, Mr. Dollar, how can I help?
Well, I'd like to know a few things about your husband. He provided for you, didn't he?
Yes. But I don't see how that can be of any importance.
Well, I just want to know a few things. Your husband made quite a bit of money, didn't he?
Yes.
You got along? You were happy?
Very.
You know, there's something awfully funny about this killing.
What do you mean?
You mind if I smoke?
No. Please go right ahead.
Oh, thanks. Would you like one?
No, thank you. What did you mean? That there's something awfully funny about my husband's death?
Well, a man named Fleet is supposed to have done it. Works for George Castro.
My husband was always afraid of Castro.
This Fleet came to my room at the hotel. Said he was working for Castro. Wanted some evidence your husband gave me in an envelope. Fleet knocked me unconscious, and then, for a professional hoodlum, did a remarkably poor job of searching.
Why haven't the police picked him up?
Well, they're looking for him, but I doubt if they find him.
Why not? Why won't they find him?
He met your husband and me out in the road. Knocked me unconscious again. Then when I awoke, it looked like he'd killed your husband and shoved the car over the cliff.
Oh, please. Can't this wait until tomorrow?
I think you can help me.
But I don't know what you're getting at.
Well, Fleet couldn't have followed me because he was already out there. And he couldn't have followed your husband because there wasn't enough time. Somebody told him where we were going to meet. He had time to get there, but not to follow us. Now, Fleet knew that I knew him, could identify him. Why didn't he kill me?
I don't know. And I don't know what you're getting at. Now, if you don't
One
mind...
more question, Mrs. Arnold.
Yes.
When I called your husband this afternoon, I talked to you, didn't I?
Yes.
At the station, you said you didn't even know your husband knew me.
That's right.
But when I told you my name over the phone, you knew who I was.
I did no such thing.
Oh, I'm afraid you did. You said, "Oh, yes, Mr. Dollar," the first time I called.
Well, that's not so unusual. My husband has a great many clients. It was just a matter of diplomacy.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think, Mrs. Arnold?
I'm really not interested in what you think, Mr. Dollar. I'd like you to leave.
I think someone wanted me to identify Fleet as your husband's killer. I don't think Fleet killed your husband.
Well, someone certainly did.
I think someone else wanted the police to think George Castro was behind it. Might even have hired Fleet, unknown to Castro. Told Fleet to be sure and tell me he was doing the job for Castro.
How can I possibly help with all this?
Your husband wanted me to hold the evidence until he could make some arrangements. What kind of arrangements?
How should I know?
He was safe as long as the evidence was safe. Castro wouldn't do anything. Arnold could have put the envelope in a safety deposit vault with instructions to have the police open it in case of his death.
Mr. Dollar.
Instead, your husband gave me the envelope. Said he'd take it back when he'd made arrangements. Now, how could that help him?
I don't know.
He couldn't hide, go to another country. He knew you can't run away from a man like Castro. And if he ever had the evidence on him, Castro would kill him in a minute.
All right. You've said what you had to say.
No, not quite. You know what I think? I think the arrangements had already been made. I think the best way for your husband to escape Castro was to have himself killed.
You're insane.
If he was dead, you'd have all his money and $500,000 more in insurance.
Get out of here.
But he isn't dead at all, is he? The man in that car was Fleet.
Get out.
Your husband leaves the country, everyone thinks he's dead, Castro stops looking for him, and after you collect the money, you meet him.
Get out. Get out.
Get it, Beth.
Howard.
Well, hello, Mr. Arnold. You don't even look singed. And what a lovely gun.
I didn't credit you with this much sense, Dollar.
Howard, what are we going to do?
We're going to do just as we planned, with one slight change. Your car's in front, isn't it, Dollar?
Yeah?
Get our car, Beth. You're going to follow us.
Where?
Get the car.
Fleet was the body in the burning car?
Yes.
You hired him to throw the blame on Castro?
Of course.
You're really a pretty messy guy, Arnold.
You won't have to worry about it long.
The police know I came here. They're going to wonder who killed me.
What's the matter with Castro?
He's sitting in the lieutenant's office right now.
He has so many efficient assassins. Let's go.
Okay.
Howard.
You just follow us. All right, Dollar. Over to your car. You drive.
Howard.
What?
There's a car coming up the drive. Howard.
Look at that nice squad car.
going on?
Oh, hi, Lieutenant. You've met Mr. Howard Arnold?
Holy. He's alive.
Yeah, but slightly unconscious. Better get them both in the car.
Right. Sergeant, what's going on?
I'll tell you all about it as soon as we can sit down in some nice, loud saloon. Okay?
Well,
It's on the expense account.
Okay.
We picked up the not-so-honorable Mr. Howard Arnold and took him back to the station, along with his weeping wife. I filled in some of the details on the way, and later, after I'd changed my shirt, the lieutenant met me in the bar, and I explained the whole thing from start to finish. Between the start and the finish, I ran up expense account items 3 through 25, $27.75, drinks and dinner for two. Expense account item 26, $49.18, car rental and hotel bill. Item 27, $21.43, train fare and incidentals back to Hartford. Expense account total, $123.66. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Remember, friends, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum is a refreshing, delicious treat you can enjoy just about any time. Chew a few sticks of Wrigley's Spearmint during the day and see how the good chewing helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. The lively, full-bodied flavor of Wrigley's Spearmint cools your mouth, freshens your taste, and sweetens your breath. The chewing itself gives you a nice little boost, helps you keep going at your best. Millions of people get real chewing enjoyment out of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day, and we know that you'll enjoy it, too. Get a few packages and always keep some handy. And remember, Halloween is coming, so be sure to have plenty of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum on hand for the youngsters who come calling for tricks or treats. That's Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, stars John Lund in the title role and was written by Blake Edwards with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were David Young, Jeanette Nolan, John McIntyre, Hy Averback, Frank Nelson, and Bill Conrad. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's story of Johnny Dollar and that you're enjoying delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. This is Charles Lyon, inviting you to join us again next week at this same time when, from Hollywood, John Lund returns as... Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is the CBS Radio Network.
For your listening enjoyment, John Lund as Johnny Dollar.
Roger Stern, Dollar.
Oh, hello, Mr. Stern.
Got a job for you.
Fine.
Our company insures a Mr. Barney Rico.
Oh, I know that name. Used to be pretty big in the rackets, wasn't he?
Yeah, for the past 7 years, he's been Mr. 8 number 1 citizen. Our company insured his life for $100,000. He was killed yesterday.
How?
He was murdered. See Lieutenant Briggs at the 7th Precinct. He'll give you the details.
Right. Briggs is an old friend.
When can you leave?
As soon as I pack a bag.
Mind if I break in a few seconds to discuss games with you? How many of you, when you were youngsters, ever tried to escape from the world of reality by playing cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers? Today's youngsters have added 2 more professions to the world of make-believe: spacemen and G-men. And speaking of G-men, do you know where that name came from? Actually, it was used about 20 years ago by gangsters to describe members of our Federal Bureau of Investigation as part of the Department of Justice. and acts as a kind of detective agency whose duty it is to track down those who break our federal laws. The FBI also does counterintelligence work in ferreting out spies and saboteurs. And here's an amazing fact about our FBI men. Despite the extreme dangers of their work, it wasn't until some 20 years ago that they were given the authority to carry guns. With no other weapons than courage, resourcefulness, and determination, they had to track down and apprehend dangerous racketeers and spies. Today, however, you will find that the typical FBI agent may be a lawyer, accountant, or specialist in some other profession, but thoroughly trained in scientific police methods and handy with any type of weapon.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Intercontinental Bonding and Indemnity, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Gino Gambona matter. Expense account item 1, $24.98, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City. I arrived at Grand Central, went directly to the hotel where I registered and called Lieutenant Arthur Briggs. I caught him on his way to lunch. He agreed to meet me in a small restaurant across from the precinct.
Well, good to see you again, Johnny.
Oh, good to see you, Art. It's been a long time.
Investigating the Rico killing, huh?
Yeah. Why don't we order, and then you can tell me about it.
Well, I know what I want. This is corned beef day. Good corned beef, real lean.
Oh, that sounds fine.
Nancy?
I'll be right there, Art.
How much is Rico insured for?
$100,000. The brother's the beneficiary.
Uh-huh.
Any idea who killed him?
No, not yet. It's always tough when a guy's been in the racket, even if he's gone straight for a while.
He used to be with the Gambona outfit, wasn't he?
Yeah, you know how that
Hi, Art.
Well, hello, beautiful.
Corned beef?
Yeah, two.
Coffee?
Yeah, Johnny?
Yeah, coffee.
2 beef, 2 coffee, salad or soup.
Just the corned beef for me.
Yeah, I don't want the sound of the soup. But, sir, you putting on weight?
You kidding?
No, you're getting a little...
I'm on a diet. You kidding?
Well, just ask. I don't mind.
Gee, that's going to make all the difference in the world.
I still love
All a big fat me? Gee.
He's cute.
Yeah, sure is.
Well, getting back to Rico, I was saying, I'm sure you know it, anytime a guy like Rico gets killed, it's tough to come up with the answer. Could be any one of a dozen guys he was in the racket with. You remember him at all?
Yeah, he was the one who testified against Gambona.
That's right. His testimony sent Gambona back to Sicily. Could have been any one of Gambona's mob. It's just been waiting for the chance. I don't know whether you remember or not, but at the trial, Gambona made it plenty clear that he'd get Rico sooner or later.
What's happened to Gambona?
He's still in Sicily.
Rico did pretty well for himself after he went straight.
Yeah, he did fine. Opened a string of barber shops, built himself a nice home.
The brother's name is Dave.
Yeah, he manages the shop.
What did he have to say?
Well, he's scared stiff. He didn't have anything to do with sending Gambona to Sicily, but he was in the outfit and pulled out when his brother did. He's in a panic.
He hasn't got any idea who killed Barney?
Well, if he does, he isn't saying, and I can't say I blame him.
Well, after lunch, I think I'll have a talk with Dave.
He's probably at the main shop or at home.
Here you are.
Well, thanks, beautiful.
Lean enough for you?
Looks great.
Well, I'm glad something around here hasn't got too much fat on it.
Expense account item 2, $3.55, lunch for Lieutenant Briggs and myself, after which Briggs gave me Dave Rico's home and business address, and I left. Expense account item 3, $1.45, cab fare to Dave Rico's home, where I talked with his wife. She informed me that her husband hadn't returned from work yet and suggested I go to the main barber shop of the Rico chain. Expense account item 4, $1.65, more cab fare from the Rico house to the barber shop on East 118th Street. It was after 6 when I arrived, and the shop was closed. The interior was dark, except for a light coming from a back room. I knocked on the door and waited. I was about to leave when I saw the figure of a man stagger into the darkened shop from the lighted back room. He stood for a moment framed in the doorway, one hand clutching his stomach. I banged on the door again and watched as the man pushed himself away from the door jamb and started across the shop. Halfway to the front door, he slumped to the floor and lay still. I stepped back, kicked the glass out near the door lock, reached in and opened the door. But by the time I got to the man's side, he was dying in a hurry.
Call doctor, please.
Yeah, sure. Who did it?
No. Gambona.
He died looking up at the ceiling and holding his stomach where a knife had cut him almost in two. It was Dave Rico, and he named Gambona as his killer. I called Lieutenant Briggs.
Gambona?
That's what he said. I asked him who did it, and he said Gambona.
Well, that's crazy.
Why?
Gino Gambona's in Sicily.
You sure?
Well, sure, I'm sure. Authorities over there keep a close check. Maybe he meant Gambona's mob. A lot of them still around.
Or wouldn't he know them?
Yeah, he'd know them.
But he said Gambona.
Well, I'll get a cable off to the authorities in Sicily.
In the meantime, what if Gambona is in town?
If he is, he's going to have a hard time getting back out. But a lot of people would hide him. I'll start checking right away. See you, Johnny.
The coroner's deputy arrived, followed by the lab boys, and I went back down to the precinct. Briggs made his report to the chief, and a cable was sent to the proper authorities in Sicily. For the next few hours, we went through the mugs and picked out all of Gambona's former associates that were still in town. One of them was a girl.
Virginia Barrett.
Used to be a steady thing with Gambona, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's been a good girl, though. Got a job and stayed out of trouble.
Well, worth checking.
She sings. Not very good, but the joint she sings in doesn't expect anything great.
Where is it?
It's over on 34th Street. I've been in it a couple of times. What's the name of the place? Something Den. Pirates. Yeah.
You going to be busy for a while?
Yeah. You want to say hello to Jimmy?
Yeah, I thought I might.
Well, let me know how you make out.
Sure. If I run into Gambona, I'll give him your regard.
Yes, do that.
Expense account item 5. $1.75 for still another cab from the precinct to East 34th Street in the Pirate's Den. It was a small place set down below the level of the sidewalk and filled with enough smoke to keep the walls from falling in. I found a table near the back of the room and gave my order to a swollen-eyed waiter that looked like he'd been mixing salad on his apron. When I told him I'd like to talk to Virginia Barrett, he gave me a long look and then wandered off through the smoke. About 5 minutes later, Virginia Barrett appeared.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah. Won't you sit down?
Ask you to tell me what you wanted to see me about.
It's a personal matter. I'll preface it with a drink.
You a cop?
No.
I'm thirsty, but I'm even more inquisitive.
Heard from Gino Gambona lately?
Who are you?
Johnny Dollar?
Should I know you?
No. What'll you have to drink?
Right. Now, what's all this about Gino Gambona?
Have you seen him lately?
You kidding?
I'll say it another way. Have you seen him lately?
Look, Gino got sent to Sicily a long time ago. I haven't been out of New York since the day I was born.
Okay. But have you seen him lately?
Look, mister, I just told you. I haven't seen Gino since the day he waved goodbye from Pier 47. I don't think I want to talk to you anymore.
You read about Barney Rico getting killed the other day? Dave Rico was killed this evening.
That's too bad.
Before Dave died, he named Gambona. You knew the Rico boys, didn't you?
A long time ago. Now you'll have to excuse me. I go on in a minute.
I'll wait.
Okay, but don't hold your breath.
She walked away looking worried and disappeared through a door on the opposite side of the room. I took a beat, then got up and crossed the room to the door and entered. On the other side, I found a small, dimly lit hall, and a rather large, muscle-bound man walked toward me.
You looking for something?
Yeah.
I think you got the wrong view.
I'm looking for Miss Barrett.
Look in the other room.
I have.
Try again.
Where'd Virginia Barrett go?
She's probably in her dressing room, but that doesn't make any difference to you.
Oh, you're wrong.
Now turn around and walk back in that room when you got the strength left.
Get out of my way.
It's like that, huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
Friend, if anyone offers you a job as a bouncer, forget it. I left him lying in a corner and went down the hall, looking on the other side of doors for Virginia Barrett. But Virginia Barrett was somewhere else. I ran out into the alley behind the club just in time to see her climb into a cab on the other side of the street and pull away. Expense account item 6, $1.25 for another cab. We followed Virginia to a large apartment house on the west side of town. We parked a half block away. I watched her go in, then I followed. I went up the front steps of the building and looked at the mailboxes. Virginia Barrett's apartment was 203, but the front door had a night latch on it. I picked a name on a box, a Miss Adelaide Jones, and buzzed it.
Yes?
Miss Jones?
Yes, who is it?
Flowers.
Flowers?
From the Ashley florist.
Flowers?
The gentleman wanted them delivered immediately.
Oh, really? Oh, wait a minute.
Well, I was in. I found apartment 203 and started to knock. But sometimes when you get impatient, you get careless. I'd tailed Virginia Barrett, but I'd forgotten about the big boy I'd left sleeping it off in the back hall of the pirate's den. Obviously, he knew where Virginia could be found, and obviously when he came to, he'd hurry right over. Because when I raised my hand to knock, the big boy barged up the stairs and pointed his gun right at my dinner.
Hold it.
Oh, why, sure.
You're a busy little fella, aren't you?
I have to be, or I lose the game.
Yeah?
It's a treasure hunt. I have to bring back a pound of 3-day-old rhubarb, the lapels off 3 opera capes, and a dozen assorted heads.
I'd like to contribute.
Well, every little bit helps.
I can guarantee some broken bones.
Now, about Gino Gambona.
You never can tell. Go ahead and knock.
Who is it?
Marco.
Well, good evening.
What's he doing here?
Go on, get in there. Found him in the hall. Gave me some trouble over at the club.
He says he's not a cop.
Who is it?
That guy I was telling you about. Marco's with him.
Well, what? That's about all I can come up with.
Your name's Dollar?
Yeah.
You know me?
Yeah. Your name is Gino Gambona.
Did you ever stop to realize that 4 American coins show us the importance of elections? The first one is the Washington Quarter. It was George Washington who reminded us that on the unity of our government depends our independence, our peace at home and abroad, our safety, prosperity, and our freedom. The second coin is the Jefferson nickel. It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "No government can continue good but under the control of the people." The third coin is a penny, bearing the likeness of Abraham Lincoln, who said, "Among free men, there can be no successful appeal from the ballot to the bullet." And finally, the Roosevelt dime reminds us of something Franklin D. Roosevelt once said. Every man and every woman in this nation, regardless of party, who have the right to register and to vote, and the opportunity to register and to vote, have also the sacred obligation to register and to vote. These 4 Americans, by recognizing the importance of elections, added another page to your political history. And now, with our star, John Lund, we bring you the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Gino Gambona stood in the middle of the room looking at me with a nasty smile, as though he'd just come up with a particularly funny way to kill me. Gino Gambona, one-time lord of the underworld. By all rights, he should have been in Sicily, where the United States government had sent him for the rest of his life. But there he was. And there I was, wishing he wasn't. The big man Virginia Barrett had called Marco shoved his gun in my spine and prodded me over to an uncomfortable chair. Gambona held the nasty smile and walked slowly over to me.
Who are you?
Johnny Dollar.
Well, the name don't mean nothing. Who are you?
I'm a special investigator for an insurance company. We hold a policy on the late Barney Rico.
Mm-hmm.
His beneficiary was his brother. I don't know who insured him.
Looks like your company don't have to pay off to nobody.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
Tell me, Johnny Dollar, how much insurance you got?
Just a small policy. I'm expendable.
I'm glad.
Dave Rico named you before he died.
Oh, really? Were you the guy pounding on the front door of his shop?
What did you kill Dave for? I thought you just wanted Barney.
Well, Dave's last name was Rico. But now, about you, Dollar. What am I going to do about you?
Well, I could make a few suggestions, but I don't think you'd go for them.
No. I don't think so.
Whatever it is, boss, let me,
You got pushed around a little, eh, Marco?
I'll make up for it.
You know, Dollar, it ain't like the old days. Marco was one of my boys in the old days. On his toes then. You couldn't have pushed him around then.
Did you come all the way back here just to kill Barney Rico?
No. Of course not. I had something to get. And I couldn't trust nobody to get it for me. Not even my little baby here. You met Virginia, Dollar?
Briefly.
I hear she's a singer now. You hear her sing?
Let's stop playing around, Gino.
Mr. Gambona. Nobody calls me Gino. Unless I like him.
The police know you're in the States.
Mm-hmm.
They sent a cable to Sicily.
Well, they ain't going to find out nothing that way. I got it all fixed. By the time they really go looking for me, I'll be back like I never left. And who's going to say they saw me here? Money Rico? Dave Rico? You?
Gino, let's get this over with.
Yeah. Okay, Marco. Cool this bum off. Take him for a drive down by the river.
Sure. What about the stuff?
Well, me and Jeannie will pick it up and meet you. Now get going.
Get up.
Well, it's a nice meeting you, Dollar.
Charmed, I'm sure. Come on. Move. Marco followed me out of the room, and we started down the stairs. Suddenly, on the upper landing, the most beautiful distraction I'd ever seen shouted...
Hey, you!
And Marco turned his head for just a second.
Oh, my goodness!
Thanks.
He had a gun!
Yeah, he sure did.
Thanks, I don't know what's going on here. I thought for a minute he had some flowers for me. Someone called from downstairs and said he had some flowers for me. You seen anyone with some flowers?
No, honey, but I'm personally going to buy you a whole acre of orchids. I went back to Virginia Barrett's apartment, but Gino and Virginia had left a few steps ahead of me. I looked out of the window and saw a car pull away. Then I picked up the phone and called Lieutenant Briggs. Marco came too on the way to the precinct, and after we arrived, Briggs booked him and took him downstairs to the interrogation room.
Where were you supposed to meet Gambona?
I wasn't. What was the stuff he was going to pick up? You tell me.
2 men have been killed, Marco.
Not that I know of. You were supposed to meet Gambona. Was I? He said so. I must not have heard him.
I'm going to put 2 men on you every 2 hours. We won't get tired, but you're going to be miserable.
I know the route.
Where can we find him? You hear me, Marco?
I hear you.
Where can we find him?
I don't know. Where are you supposed to meet him? I'm not.
When did you get into town?
I don't know. When did he contact you? He didn't. You're a liar. If you say so. How did you know where he was staying? As I did.
Where were you when Barney Rico was killed?
When was he killed?
The morning of the 3rd.
I was at home.
You sure?
Yeah.
Where were you the morning of the 4th?
I don't remember. What's that got to do with it?
That's when Barney was killed.
You said the 3rd.
Did I? It was the 4th.
Where were you? At home.
You said you didn't know.
I was at home. Both mornings? Yeah.
Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks.
Marco?
Yeah.
Know anyone who can prove you were home the morning of the 4th?
No.
Where were you this evening?
When this evening?
All evening. From about 5 o'clock on.
At the cafe. What do you do there? Look, what is all this? I don't know anything about the Rico killing.
Somebody does. If we don't get Gambona, I'm going to have someone for these killings.
But was it me?
Then give us an alibi.
I told you.
Did anyone see you?
No, I told you I was at my place.
You said you were at the club.
That was this evening.
What about the morning of the 3rd?
You said the 4th.
I said the 3rd.
At home.
And the 4th.
Yeah.
At first you said you didn't know.
Now, wait a minute. Lay off.
What do you want to know? Where we can pick up Gambona.
Give me a cigarette. Where were you supposed to meet him? Okay. Nuts to Gambona. Nuts to the 10 grand. I'm bushed. I can't think anymore.
What 10 grand?
10 grand Gambona promised me for helping him get in and out of the States. Where's he going to get 10 grand? He's at a stash somewhere. Where? I don't know. To help him. Even Virginia didn't know. Is she going with him? Yeah. Gino said he'd come back and get Virginia and the dough. He must have a bundle hidden somewhere.
When's Gambona leaving?
I don't know.
Don't lie to me. You said you were getting paid to get him in and out of the country.
That's right, but I haven't made arrangements to get him out yet. You're going to meet them. Where? Grand Central, by the Oyster Bar, 11:30. Now can I relax, get some rest? We got to the Oyster Bar in 10 minutes, and Briggs had stakeouts placed around the entire area. At 11:30, Virginia Barrett and Gino Gambona failed to show. We waited for another hour.
Mr. William James, report to the information desk. Mr. William James.
Wait till I get back to Marco.
Well, the only reason he'd lie is to give Gambona and the girl enough time to get away.
Well, they'll never make it. I've got everything covered.
Marco's job is to get them out. If he thinks they've got a chance to make it, he must have already made the arrangements.
Yeah, but what kind?
Well, we can forget about planes. Take a pretty big ship to go that far.
What about some obscure boat?
Yeah, that could be it. Big payoff to the captain. Look, we can figure Gambona got here within the last week. He couldn't afford to be gone too long from Sicily. He told me he's got it fixed, that nobody will miss him, but he couldn't be gone too long.
Take him 2 weeks both ways by boat.
Yeah. He must have planned it to arrive here, get the money and his girl, take care of the Ricos, and get out fast. Let's check the boats that arrived from Italy and Sicily in the last 2 or 3 days and see if one of them is sailing tonight.
Right.
We checked the arrivals for the past week and then compared them with current departures. We found one looked like it could be it. An independent steamer, the Atlantic Star, had arrived from Sicily the morning of the 3rd, the day before Barney Rico had met his death, and was due to sail from Pier 16 at 1 o'clock in the morning, bound for the Mediterranean. We piled into a squad car and arrived at Pier 16 at 12:50, where we identified ourselves to the gangway watch and were directed to the captain on the bridge of the Atlantic Star.
Hey, what are you two guys
doing? Yeah. What do you want?
Police, you're under arrest.
For what?
Where are Gino Gambona and Virginia Barrett?
Who?
You're both surrounded. You might as well tell us.
Stateroom B. But right now he's probably in the galley. What's he doing there? That's the way he signed on. Cook. Does pretty good at it, too. We took the captain down on deck, and Briggs waved one of his men aboard. The captain was taken off quietly, and Briggs and I moved on to Stateroom B.
Who is it?
Marco!
Were you sure? Let go of me! Take your hands off me!
Now, calm down, Jenny. One yell out of you, and I'll fix it so you don't get to sing with the prison band. Virginia Barrett went off just as quietly as the captain, and the boat was cleared except for anyone who still might be in the galley. Briggs waited outside the galley door, and I went in, with my hand on the .38 in my pocket. I spotted Gambona behind a long table stacked with pots and pans. He looked up as I moved in on him.
Hey, what time is this tub supposed to pull out? It's up to...
Hello, Gino.
Why, you...
Sometimes I'm I'm so smart it gets hysterical. There I was, face to face with Gino Gambona, ready to take him single-handed, right where I wanted him. And the next minute I was buried under a pile of pots and pans. Gino drew his gun, made a dash for the passageway. And that was as far as he got.
Johnny? What? Here, give me your hand. What happened?
Somebody goofed. Gambona was dead. Virginia Barrett and Marco, full name Marco Dandoy, got 5 to 10 years for their parts in the crime. The captain of the Atlantic Star got 2 years, and Lieutenant Briggs got a promotion. Yours truly returned to Adelaide Jones with the flowers he'd promised her, and all in all, everyone got just what was coming to them. Expense account item 7, $52.88 hotel bill. Item 8, $24.56, train fare and incidentals back to Hartford. Expense account total, $112.07. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
John Lund as Johnny Dollar.
Walter Jackson, Johnny.
Oh, hello, Mr. Jackson. How are you?
No, not too good, Johnny. That is, our company isn't. If you're not on a case, I'd like you to conduct an investigation for us.
I'm at your service.
Good. Our company writes a group health and hospitalization policy at the Riggs Bearing Company.
Where's that?
In Riggs City, Florida. Employees 3,000. We cover the employees and their families.
And?
We've just received a claim on behalf of a Bobby Foster, the child of a machinist of Riggs.
For what?
An operation involving a team of neurosurgeons and technicians that had to be flown to Riggs City by chartered plane from Boston.
Now, what do you want me to do?
Dr. Grant Howell, director of the Riggs City Hospital, attached a report to the claim. A report which we think bears investigation.
Okay, I'll get right on it.
Fine, Johnny. And don't spare any expense. If Dr. Howell's report bears out, there's a vicious racket spreading. A racket which victimizes children.
At this point in our program, I'd like to give you something to think about. Probably one of the most quoted Americans in our nation's history is Benjamin Franklin. It was Franklin who said, "Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." And never leave that till tomorrow, which you can do today. And, of course, the Lord helps them that help themselves. But probably one of his most familiar quotations is, "There are only 2 things in life of which we may be certain: death and taxes." Of course, what bothers most of our taxpayers is that death and taxes don't come in that order. But seriously, one of the biggest jobs handled by the Secretary of the Treasury is the collection of taxes, our government's main source of income. The government raises money through the Bureau of Internal Revenue, which collects income taxes, excise taxes, amusement taxes, and other federal taxes. The Bureau also checks to see that you haven't paid too little and, believe it or not, that you haven't paid too much. Another way the government raises money is through the Bureau of Customs, which levies taxes on imports which are sent here from foreign countries. But although the Treasury Department collects the money, it is Congress, the men we send to Washington, who actually says who will pay taxes and how much. And that's one thing from which none of us can escape.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, National Medical and Hospitalization Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Bobby Foster matter. Expense account item 1, $85.56, plane fare and incidentals between Hartford and Miami, Florida. Item 2, $2.60, bus fare between Miami and Riggs City, a spick and span little town with coral white streets shaded by tropical trees. I registered at the Cachubi Hotel, then went directly to Dr. Howell's office in the modern air-conditioned hospital.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
May I help you?
I'd like to see Dr. Howell, please.
Well, the doctor doesn't see patients after 5. I'm afraid you'll have to return tomorrow. Unless it's an emergency.
Well, I understand it is. My name is Johnny Dollar. I'm representing National Medical.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is the doctor in?
Well, he's looking in on a patient, Mr. Dollar, but he expects you.
Oh?
The insurance company phoned you were coming.
I see.
It's pretty awful what happened to little Bobby Foster. I've never seen Dr. Howell so upset.
Just exactly what did happen.
You don't know?
Not the details, no.
Well, if Dr. Howell is right, it's terrible. But he'd better tell you. Won't you sit down, Mr. Dollar?
Oh, thanks.
Cigarette?
Oh, thank you.
You see, I heard some matches.
Oh, here you are.
It worked.
Hang out the flags.
Well, how do you like Briggs City, Mr. Dollar?
Well, I haven't been here long enough to know. How do you like it, Miss...
Rogers. Flo Rogers. I haven't been here very long myself, just a little over 2 months.
Oh?
Oh, I like the sunshine, the clean streets.
But what?
It gets a little dull.
Well, is that so? Well, maybe something can be done about that, Miss Rogers. It is Miss, isn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Sure.
I'm glad you approve.
I not only approve, I applaud.
Oh, on behalf of the spinsters of America, I thank you. Oh, that must be Dr. Howell. Excuse me?
Reluctantly.
The doctor will see you, Mr. Dollar.
Thank you.
Oh, come in. Come in. Have a seat.
Thanks, Dr. Howell.
Well, your company acts fast. Only mailed that claim day before yesterday.
National Medical feels it's an unusually high claim,
You
Doctor.
suggesting I padded it?
Oh, certainly not. But a team of neurosurgeons flown down from
It
Boston...
was necessary to save the boy's life, I assure you.
Well, don't misunderstand, Doctor. National Medical isn't challenging your professional opinion.
I should hope not.
The report you attached is what interested my company.
It should. Should interest the whole country.
I didn't have the opportunity to read it, Doctor. Perhaps
It's a potential child killer, Mr. Dollar. A vicious, unscrupulous racket, capitalizing on panic, fear. Well, come with me. I want you to see what they've done to an innocent child.
Bobby Foster?
Yes. Any change, nurse?
No, Doctor.
Well, there he is, Mr. Dollar. A 5-year-old boy, victim of a panic-stricken parent and a criminal operator.
What are his chances?
We won't know until he comes out of coma, if he does.
And then?
For complete recovery, no chance. For partial recovery, a fair chance. Bobby Foster will be paralyzed.
You said a criminal operator. Who?
If I knew, Mr. Dollar, I wouldn't bother with reports to insurance companies. I've been a doctor 40 years now. Seen a lot of pain and tragedy. But this...
Let's go back to your office, Doctor.
Sorry, Mr. Dollar. I must be overtired. Shouldn't let these things get to me.
Well, after seeing that boy, I can't blame you. Cigarette?
Yes, thank you.
Now, let's have the story from the beginning, huh?
Well, we had a polio scare here recently. Some of our children came down with fever, headache, sore throat, symptoms resembling polio.
Was it polio?
No. But to confirm my diagnosis, I called in a polio specialist from Miami. Meanwhile, epidemic rumors spread through the town. Parents got panicked. He held a mass meeting.
For what purpose?
They demanded I inject every child in town with gamma globulin.
That's the polio preventive?
Yes.
And did you?
Certainly not. Gamma globulin is impossible to get unless a genuine polio epidemic is threatening. The government has to ration it carefully because one whole blood donation is required to manufacture a single injection. You know how many demands there are on the whole
blood supply these days.
Of course.
Well, to get to Bobby Foster's case, I was called to the Foster home last week. Found the boy in a coma. He had all the symptoms of embolism.
Of what?
Cerebral embolism, caused in this case by an air bubble entering a blood vessel and being carried to the brain.
Well, that would cause paralysis, wouldn't it?
Yes, and possible death.
And so you called in the neurosurgeon?
I didn't feel qualified to undertake such a specialized operation.
Well, just how did the air bubble enter the boy's bloodstream?
Through criminal carelessness, by way of a hypodermic injection.
Any proof?
Well, the needle mark's still on the boy's arm.
And you have no idea who injected Bobby?
None. But I know this. Other children in this town have been injected, too.
Oh?
In their cases, fortunately, no harm was done.
Well, surely Bobby's parents know who injected him.
That's the wicked stupidity of it, Mr. Dollar. They deny the boy was given any kind of an injection.
But you think they're lying?
Of course they're lying. The boy was running a fever. The parents thought it was polio. They panicked, took him to some quack for an injection of what they were told was gamma globulin.
At a black market price, no doubt.
To a frightened parent, price would be no object, Mr. Dollar.
Well, I'll see the boy's parents. They can be persuaded to tell who's behind this racket.
You're wasting your time, Mr. Dollar. I've tried repeatedly. They refuse to admit their responsibility.
Afraid criminal charges will be brought against them?
Perhaps. But they have another child, a girl, 7.
You're thinking the girl has been threatened if the parents talk?
I wouldn't put anything past the ghouls who operate this racket, Mr. Dollar.
Yes, it would figure, Doctor. Well, thanks. I'll check with you if I turn up anything.
Yes, do that, Mr. Dollar, and be careful.
I always am. And you ease up, huh?
He's very perturbed, isn't he?
Well, he has a right to be, Miss Rogers. Do you have the Foster's address?
Oh, yes. I prepared this for you. Here you are.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'll take a run over there now.
I wish I could help you.
You've been very helpful already.
No, I mean really help. If there's anything I can do, anything you need or need to know.
Well, I could use a little background information, about the town and the people. I tell you what, why don't we have dinner tonight? Then I can get the rundown on Riggs City and a little nourishment at the same time.
Well...
You have another engagement?
No, I haven't. It's just that... Well, I didn't want you to think I was angling for a date.
Oh, now, look, I have a pretty good memory, and I distinctly remember that I asked you to dinner.
I know, but...
I think it's your civic duty to dine with me.
Well, if you put it that way, as a good citizen, how can I refuse?
That's the spirit. You name the place.
Well, there's a restaurant called the Tropics, a bar and grill sort of place. It isn't 21, but it isn't bad either.
I'm with you. What time shall we meet?
Around 6.
I'll be there if I have to crawl.
All right, but wouldn't a taxi cab be more practical? See you at 6.
I left the hospital with the sound of Flo Rogers' laugh still rustling in my ears. It occurred to me that Riggs City might be a very pleasant place under different circumstances. I hailed a cab and ran up expense account item 3, 75 cents. Fare and tip to the Fosters' bright little cottage, a stone's throw from the beach.
Yes?
Mrs. Foster?
Yes.
I represent the National Medical Insurance Company.
We have insurance where my husband works.
Just a minute, Mrs. Foster.
Please. I said we already have medical insurance.
Yes, with my company.
Oh,
I'd like to talk to you. May I come in?
no. That is, my husband is
It'll
at
only
home.
take a minute, Mrs. Foster.
If it's about the premiums, I can't help you. They're supposed to be deducted from my husband's paycheck.
It's about Bobby.
I can't answer any questions. You have to see my husband.
I think you have the information I need
What information?
about the injection Bobby had. The one that
He didn't.
nearly caused his death.
No. You're wrong. Bobby didn't have an injection.
Dr. Howell says the needle mark is still on the boy's arm.
No.
Is someone threatening to harm your other child if you talk?
Please, go away. Please.
You have a moral obligation, Mrs. Foster.
I can't answer any questions.
Other children are being victimized, too. Could end up in the hospital like your son. Only half alive because their parents were panicked into buying phony drugs from the black market.
We were so worried that Bobby had polio. So worried.
Who gave Bobby the injection?
I can't tell. I can't.
You've got to tell.
But our little girl, Margaret, they said they...
That's enough.
I didn't tell him anything, Edward.
Get inside.
Where's Margaret?
Inside, I said.
Oh.
So you're Bobby's father.
That's right, mister.
I'm Johnny
I
Dollar.
know who you are. Insurance company detective.
Investigate.
Have it your way, but get off my property.
Did they threaten your little girl if you talk?
I'm warning you.
You can get police protection, Foster. Just name the man who gave Bobby that shot.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now, you get off my place.
Use your head, Foster. You're covering up for the worst kind of scum. Talk. You owe it to your son, to the other kids that are being victimized.
All right, Dollar. I warned you to get out.
Now, don't be a fool, Foster.
I warned you. Get up.
I didn't come here to brawl with you, Foster. I'm investigating...
I said get up. Get on your feet and clear out of here.
Since you asked me so nicely, sure.
You know, many great men have attained the highest office in our land, the presidency of the United States. Can you guess the name of this man? He was our second oldest president, being elected for that office when he was 66 years old, and our only bachelor president. In 1828, he was appointed minister to Russia by President Jackson. In 1856, when he became president, differences between the North and South caused much unrest in his cabinet and in the various departments of the government. While he was president, the Confederate States were formed and the Civil War began. If you don't have his name by now, here are two more important clues. During his administration, the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates were held, and the first Atlantic cable was laid. Who was he? James Buchanan, 15th President of the United States. His life is part of your American heritage.
And now, with our star, John Lund, we bring you the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. My face and my clothes were pretty much the worse for wear. I went back to the Kachubi Hotel for a shower and a change and a little elementary first aid. It helped, but not much. What with one thing and another, it was nearly 7 o'clock by the time I got a cab and ran up expense account item 4, 85 cents to the Tropics Cafe. I spotted Flo Rogers in a corner booth. Well, hearty greetings and humble apologies.
Good evening. Don't apologize. After all, you're only an hour late.
I'm sorry. I had a little repair work to do.
Repair work? Johnny, what happened to your face?
I was overmatched. I lost the decision, and it wasn't close.
Someone beat you up?
Well, that's one way of putting it. Mr. Foster did the honors.
But why?
He thought I was a little too inquisitive.
Oh, Johnny. He must be an awful man.
No, he's a frightened man, frightened out of his wits. His little girl's life has been threatened.
What? How do you know?
Mrs. Foster was on the verge of admitting it when her husband barged in.
Oh. Oh, well, what are you going to do now?
Starting tomorrow, I'm going to question every parent in town.
Do you think other children have been infected?
Well, Dr. Howell thinks so, and it figures. A group of grifters move into a family town, spread polio rumors around, then make a killing selling phony gamma globulin shots to parents who are scared silly for their children's health.
Johnny.
Yeah?
You're going on with this investigation?
Why, certainly.
In spite of what's happened to you already, you're determined to go on?
Why, sure I am. What are you driving at, Flo?
I guess I'd better tell you then.
Tell me what?
Well, tonight when I first came in, I sat at one of those little tables near the bar. You see, that one over there, behind the jukebox.
Yeah? So?
I heard the bartender whispering to a man.
Well, what did he say to him?
He was telling him where to take his child for an injection.
An injection? Of gamma globulin?
I think so. I couldn't be sure. I couldn't hear everything he said.
Where did he tell the man to take his child? Did you hear that?
No, I told you he was whispering.
The man he was talking to, is he still around?
No, I don't see him.
Did you know him?
No, he's just one of the customers.
Okay. Thanks.
Where are you going?
To dig my elbows in that bar. You run along home. We'll have that dinner some other time.
Promise you'll be careful.
On my honor.
I wouldn't want anything to happen.
That makes two of us. I settled on a stool at the bar and ran up expense account item 5, $10.70, for more than a few double bourbons, with which I slowly drank myself into a mood so dark that my neighbors moved to the other end of the bar. Hey, Skinny. Come here.
Name's Mickey, sir. I told you before.
Well, I'll show you this. So what? Well, don't just stand there, Skinny. Fill me up.
I think you've had enough, sir. You need a cup of coffee, black.
What I need, you can't get for me, pal. Nobody can.
You sound like a man that's got woman trouble.
What do you mean, woman trouble? Why, my little wife is the finest, sweetest...
Yes, sure. You're crazy about her and the kids, too.
How do you know I got kids?
Well, you're the type. Family man.
No kid.
No kid. Now, look, I'll get you that coffee and then a cab to take you home to the kids. Okay?
Okay. Hey, wait a minute. Come here.
Yeah?
You're a swell guy, Skinny. You understand when a man's got trouble.
Yeah, sure. Forget it.
Just that my kids are sick. Wife is worried half out of her mind. I had to get out of the house. I had to get away for an hour.
You say your kids are sick?
Yeah. Wife's scared of polio.
What does the doctor say?
Oh, a lot of mumbo-jumbo. Everybody knows there's a polio epidemic in this town. The doctors are afraid to admit it because they can't get the stuff to stop it.
Gamma globulin?
That's the only thing that'll save my kids, the only thing.
Listen, mister. Maybe I can help you.
Huh?
Get you some gamma globulin.
Where, Skinny? I'll pay anything. Anything.
Here. Go to this address. The party there will tell you where to take your kids for the shot.
Oh, thanks, Skinny. Thanks.
Name's Mickey.
Oh, sure. Mickey. Don't worry. I won't forget you for this.
I'm not worried, mister.
I left the Tropics bar and piled into a cab. On the way to the address Mickey had given me, I stopped at a highway diner and ran up expense account item 6, 30 cents for a carton of steaming black coffee. Not that I was in need of sobering so much. I just wanted something to take the sudden chill off my spine. If you've ever had a date with a grave robber, you know what I mean. It was 2 a.m. when the cabbie dropped me at the driveway of what looked to be a deserted beach house. I paid him off. Expense account item 7, $1.20 tip and fare, and started up the drive toward the vine-covered gate.
That's far enough, Dollar.
Who's there?
Oh. Just shut up or I'll snap your neck, Dollar.
Foster!
That's right. Don't give me any trouble.
Okay.
Ease up. Whenever you come along easy and no funny business.
Yeah.
All right. Put your hands behind your head. Clasp them. Don't turn around.
Okay.
Where's your gun?
I didn't bring one.
You got less sense than I thought, Dollar.
I had my reasons.
Let's go out the gate. My car's down the road.
Foster drove away from town, using the back road. A tire iron clutched in one huge hand in case I got ideas. Once, out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw the big guy's lip tremble, like a scared kid. He finally pulled up beside a long, sleek auto trailer, parked in a lonely beach cove. He motioned me out and followed me to the door.
Hello, Jonas.
Well, Flo.
Surprise.
No. You're working with a bartender, aren't you, Flo?
Of course. He's my husband.
Oh, it figures.
Oh. Come in and tell me, Johnny. And please be good.
Just as long as you have that gun pointed at me.
I'd hate to, but I'd use it then.
That figures too, Flo.
Foster, wait in your car.
Oh, cozy, these trailers.
Mickey and I like this one. Sit down, Johnny. I'll fix your drink while we wait for it.
No, thanks.
Oh, you're pouting. You're disappointed in me.
Not very.
Tell me, why weren't you surprised to find me here?
On the way over here, I got to thinking. This afternoon, when I met Foster, he already knew my name. I hadn't given it to anyone but the doctor and you.
Careless of me to have mentioned your name when I warned Foster you were coming.
Just what kind of a hold have you got on him?
His little girl.
You've kidnapped her.
Oh, no, Johnny. We're just keeping Margaret for a little while. You see, the Fosters have been very responsive to Mickey's warning. But then you came into town.
And drastic measures were in order.
We haven't harmed Margaret.
How did you get her?
Foster came by the hospital after you left. See his son. He left Margaret in the waiting room.
And you phoned your husband.
Mickey's wonderful with children. She was tickled pink to go for a soda with him.
Real sweet people, you and Mickey.
He really hates us, Johnny. Believe me.
Yeah, sure.
What happened to Bobby Foster was an unfortunate accident.
Who gave Bobby the injection?
Mickey. I can't stand the sight of a needle.
Some sweet rest.
Oh, we do very well. Traveling from place to place, taking jobs.
Following the epidemics like a pair of buzzards trailing astray.
Self-righteousness doesn't become you, Johnny.
What do you charge for a shot?
$50.
What's in them?
Nothing harmful, just colored water.
And once in a while, an air bubble.
That was an accident.
I'll take the gun, Flo.
Oh, Mickey, I didn't hear you drive up.
Everything all right?
Foster did exactly as he was told.
Good. Hello, Dollar. You play a lousy drunken father.
I'm usually better, but tonight I didn't extend myself.
Huh?
I had a hunch you'd want this meeting to take place before I started questioning the other parents in town. Because you knew I was bound to find a mother or father who'd identify you two.
Ah. Then you've been willing to make a deal all along, huh, Dollar?
Well, let's say I hated to spoil your fun. Especially Flo's.
What's that correct mean?
Ask your lonesome wife.
Don't listen to him, Mickey.
She plays a very convincing bachelor girl.
He's trying to make trouble.
A little too convincing.
Shut up, Dollar.
And she talks a lot.
Talk?
She told me everything just now. Even that you've done away with Foster's little girl.
What?
I didn't. I said, Mickey, behind you.
Come on. A gun, Foster.
Shoot, Mickey, shoot.
I'll take the gun, Flo.
Let me go.
Now sit down and behave.
You hurt me.
Give it to me, Dollar. The gun. I'm going to kill him.
No, Foster.
Give me the gun,
The
Dollar.
girl's all right.
I said this.
You understand me? She's all right.
You said he killed her.
Well, I had to. It was the only way I could shock you into making a move.
You're not just saying it, Dollar. Margaret's really safe.
Tell him, Flo.
Yes. She's all right.
This case deserves publicity, Mr. Jackson. Lots of it. Scared parents make easy dupes for operators like Flo Rogers and Mickey. And when innocent kids end up the victims, it's intolerable. Dr. Howell tells me that all the gamma globulin manufactured goes to the Office of Defense Mobilization, where it's distributed to local health departments, who in turn pass it on to MDs only. Expense account item 8, $94. Bus, plane fare, and incidentals between Riggs City and Hartford. Expense account total, $196.96. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.